See you tomorrow.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Okay. We'll-
Madam.
You guys, yep, I can hear. All right, very good. Thank you so much for coming out. We will get started here. All righty, so we have a special guest up here tonight, like we always try to do, to gavel us in. This is Aidan Muller. He is in the 7th grade at Shawnee Middle School. He is the grandson of Art and Terry Muller. And if you notice, he's a Boy Scout, and he's working on a merit badge. And this really tied in really well, so we wanted to make sure that he could come do that for us tonight. So we're going to turn it over to him. Go have at it, Aidan.
Do I do it?
Right.
All right.
Talk loud.
Do I have to think big?
Yes, you're ready.
All right.
Talk first.
Oh. I call this meeting to order.
Hit it again, Eddie.
Down here, we'll get your picture real quick. One of your grandfathers want to get your picture. There we go. And this is yours, so just put your hands up, keep it in your pocket. Up there. There you go. All right. Whoa. There we go. There we go. Good job. And I'm gonna get out of the way here a second. Okay, one more with just the two of them. Because they probably don't want my face.
Look at me, pal. I was talking to you.
So we will do our declaration of quorum, so we'll call the roll, please.
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here.
All right, very good. So we do our invocation. Do we have a, oh, where'd he go? Chairman Barrett, come on up, sir. Thank you so much.
With the permission of my elders, I'd like to pray in the Pottawattamie language. Nui Mai Mo, I'm going to pray. Mama goes nan Koab Mishnach Jayak. Grandfather God, watch over everyone here. Shawan Mishnach, have pity on us. Mine Dokum Nishnach, think peacefully of us. Emigu Mino Bimadzu, and we are asking for a good life. Miigwech Skomino, we Dok Todwak, Shawnee Odon. Thank you for the new spirit of community with the city of Shawnee. Miigwech Jakshagigo Gageshtoyin, thank you for everything you have created. Miigwech Mingam and Gugwis Jesus. Thank you for giving us your son, Jesus. Io. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. You want to send a flag salute? Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 1 is citizen participation. As always, 3-minute limit per person, 12-minute limit per topic. Good, we got more names.
They were over here, sorry.
All righty, very good, that works. And as those of you that were here in the last meeting know that you won't hear a response from us. Well, we will listen. If you want a response, you'll need to hang around till the end when we do commissioners' comments. Our city attorney will be our timekeeper, and if you get to the 3-minute mark, we'll be making a motion to you as to please, end your comments, and we'll move on to the next person. So, very good. I've got a list here. First up is Mr. Paul Bass. Microphone is yours, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing well, thank you very much. Thank you for this moment here. As you said, Paul Bass, I'm the president of First United Bank of Shawnee. I'm here on behalf of myself and some of the other local bank presidents, namely Brian Nave, president of Arvest Bank, Casey Bell, president of Bank First, Brian Kane, president of First National Bank, and Steve Wallace of Vision Bank. And we just have a collective statement to make. And we felt like that our collective voice might have a little bit more impact than our individual voices. So we crafted this, and I was elected to read it. So the statement is, the presidents of Arvest Bank, Bank First, First National, First United, and Vision Bank collectively support the joint resolution by and between the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation and the City of Shawnee. We believe that the proposed resolution enhances a positive path forward for all citizens of Pottawattamie County, and that future collaboration as described in the joint resolution between the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation and the City of Shawnee will positively reshape that once hampered relationship between the City of Shawnee and the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation. By being willing and able to set aside past disagreements, a spirit of mutual respect, admiration, and trust will flourish and replace past discord. Being geographically linked, the success of the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation and the City of Shawnee are highly dependent on each other. The proposed joint resolution promotes commonality of purpose and sharing in each other's success. The proposed joint resolution will bring greater economic prosperity to Pottawattamie County, as the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation and the City of Shawnee will partner and collaborate with a single focus and strategically to attract and retain qualified jobs benefiting all citizens of Pottawattamie County. The proposed joint resolution will be a key driver of the improved quality of life in Pottawattamie County. Today, several initiatives are already underway that focus on improving quality of life in Pottawattamie County, and we recognize that the opportunity for sustained quality of life improvement is further enhanced under the proposed joint resolution. Arvest Bank, Bank First, First National Bank, First United, and Vision Bank recognize the importance of this proposed joint resolution. As such, we collectively support the resolution and applaud the leadership of both the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation, the Mayor, and the City Commissioners of Shawnee. We hope that the approval of the proposed joint resolution will pave the way for additional cooperative agreements between neighboring tribes.
Your 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Miss Judith Mitchner. I believe she's sitting right up front. How are you this evening?
Mr. Mayor and
Yes.
Commissioners, my name is, thank you. My name is Judith Mitchner, and I live south of town on St. Louis Street, 1 East St. Louis Street. And I am here to speak for myself and my neighbors. We are concerned about this proposed program that you are setting up to de-annex us from the city. Not that it won't be a good thing for us in the long run, but we were not informed that this was going to happen. And I do not understand why we as property owners and citizens could not have been told what the procedures were, what the effect was going to be on us, what was going to happen, how we figure into this as citizens. And none of us have been given any information. I haven't received anything, and I'm next to the tribe. I'm probably the largest property owner out there, but I'm just concerned. I do not like being shoved from pillar to post without some kind of knowledge about what's going on and how it's going to affect me. I have lived in my home and owned my property for 73 years. I am 81 years old. I just prefer I just wanted to say that I respectfully request that you consider giving us a chance to participate in and to give you some of our opinions and let us know about what's going on before you make a vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next up is Mr. Darren Lofton. There he is. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you, Mr. Mayor?
Doing well.
All right. I'm just here to let you guys know we had a good week at KSNL Aero last week. We had the first of our 50-passenger aircraft come in that a customer's brought to us, and they have committed to continuously bringing aircraft to Shawnee, Oklahoma. We made a quick fuel purchase last month of, it was around $3,000, I think, by the time we made 3 different fuel purchases. And we have the potential of purchasing $500,000 to $1 million of Jet A fuel per year from the city of Shawnee. And I've got another company in Wisconsin that would like to come here and bring their aircraft, the same type aircraft. And there's a company, this company that brought the aircraft last week is out of Addison, Texas. We have 18 employees. We now have 18. We keep hiring weekly. They make anywhere from $23 to $30 an hour. They get Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance free. We have a great company. With this company committing to bringing more aircraft, we're going to have to double our manpower. We're going to probably, the next time I come speak to you guys, maybe in a month or so, we should have around 40 employees. Now, we could have as much as 100 employees if you guys would help us out a little bit. We want to expand our business, and I continuously invite you. I don't know if that email link works on your website there, but I'd really like you to come out and meet our employees. I have nothing against you guys. I don't know how I got on the wrong side of the fence. Maybe, I don't know, but I have nothing against you guys. I'd really like to invite you, Mr. Salter. I believe you're the commissioner over our district. Come out and meet the veterans, the disabled veterans, the minorities, the females, males that work for our company. And we have Native Americans that work for our company. We have every ethnicity group and race working for our company. We want to continue to expand and continue to bring jobs to Shawnee. And I want to make a personal invitation. Wednesday, the next jet aircraft is coming. It's a 50-passenger aircraft. And we'll probably be working on that aircraft for about a week, and then they're going to take it back to Texas, and then the next one's coming. So we've got constant work coming in, and we're working to bring more work in. I'm hoping we can sit down and talk about a little bit of an expansion out here that we need to do to bring in more work and more revenue to the city of Shawnee. And I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, looks like next up is Mr. Rob Morris. There he is.
Good evening. Tonight, I got a couple things for you, and I gave you some stuff to read tonight. If y'all want to look that over while I'm basically reading it to you. I'd like to know why we're putting a city employee on a committee, and especially on the Expo committee, since we're getting ready to dissolve that trust anyway. It seems like that takes away from a citizen being on that committee. I don't know why the city would need a vote. Why are we doubling up again? I mean, I know we have enough people to fill these committees, but we're doubling up and putting people on more than one committee. It's happened again tonight. Let's go to Shawnee and CPN. If you look at, I believe it's number 4, did we lose a court case or something? Because that CV 148 is a court case where CPN is suing the city of Shawnee. And then underneath that, we're all of a sudden friends again. I thought we got $100,000 around per year from sales tax off the alcohol out there that we're getting ready to de-annex. So now we're not going to have that money anymore. Next thing is with our water. I'm curious if when a drought hits, if we're going to sell volume of water or pay by the month like most residents around here do. Because if a drought hits and we have a certain volume and we're required to give them that volume and it takes away from our citizens, that doesn't help anybody. Or if there's a drought and it doesn't help theirs. The whole thing's about getting water to people. Next is the Lake Committee. Once again, it's never been answered. Is it public or not? And next, is it 13 members tonight, or do we have 14 members because a private landowner got put on there and never told about it? And that's been asked from a lot of people now. And right now, it reads as resident stakeholder can be on, anyone that's even not a resident or stakeholder can be on the committee. Is that true or false? Because it says 3 from the city, 10 others. Doesn't say any more about at-large or anything like that. Next, Latham Consulting, or actually Elevation Land Survey, $67,000. It seems like we're putting the cart before the horse. Latham Consulting, I gave you the proposal on it. Why are we spending $60,000 for a lobbyist? Shawnee does not need a $60,000 lobbyist. That's a waste of money. Last thing, the expo. We've got people that are voting to pay themselves, pay their company, pay their wife, using their Tecumseh P.O. box as the SCCDA, where it actually has a Shawnee P.O. box. That was voted on the record to pay themselves. That's a conflict of interest and against the law. So I'd like to know what this commission's going to do about it. I've asked the county the same question at 1 o'clock today, so I'm waiting on an answer from them. Last, we're going to fix the expo roof, but don't we have enough money for the depot? Wasn't that 1 cent sales tax that we had last year when it would have been cheaper to do this? Where with inflation and everything, it's going to cost a lot more. Let's see if that was everything. Oh, and the very last page, there's my 66-page info dump of the receipts proving what I'm saying. And after y'all just listen to that OMAG guy talk about people and liability and being in trouble, y'all need to fix this. And don't take away public comments either.
All right, very good, thank you. Let's see, remember what order that came in. Okay, I think next up was Teresa Burnett, so haven't seen her, there she is. How are you doing tonight?
How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I'm just wanted to just mention a few things about the agreement with the city and CPN that were just some concerns. I had several people calling me from a couple of groups that I'm in, and I agreed to come and present some of the questions and concerns. One of them would be, so the thing that we had pulled, the PDF that I got that we read, was a lot of it was vague, and I think it's very important, and I think I've mentioned this and other things before, but, and then this lady here also mentioned it, is communication. Communication is everything, and I think that it's going to make a difference in the long run for everyone sitting up here. It's important that you communicate to the people that you're representing. But for example, on 2.1, it talks about an agreement. So what are the specifics of the agreement? For example, it talks about fire protection agreement. What is the agreement? People want to know. They don't understand. They maybe don't trust everything that's going on. On 3, it says the following items which are currently foreseen, et cetera, and there's no items listed. So what are the what's being transferred? What is necessary to be transferred? Water, sewer lines, stuff like that. How many water taps are we losing? How does that affect us? How's the city going to make that budget up in the long run? Like things that you're losing, things that you're given, how does it come back to balance? Various utility services and accounts associated therewith, et cetera, What exactly is, people want to know, what's going to CPN? What are the meters going back to the city or going to CPN? Is the city getting their money back from all the infrastructure that they've purchased over the years? People want to know those things. And also, says shall continue, this is 4.2, shall continue in full force with effect without expiration. And the question is, can you or should you commit future commissions to something that appears to read very frank and matter of fact and like done? Let me double check, but I think that was the last point that I was going to make. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up looks like Rich, I'm going to say this wrong and I apologize if I do, Rudebach? Did I get that right? Okay, come on up and do that. Did I get your name right? Really?
My name is Rich Rudebach, and this is my wife Diane, and we would like to visit with you about a couple of problems at the lake. But more importantly, sir, I come to you with solutions. Solutions that probably
good.
won't cost the city anything.
It's even better.
So yes, I think so. So last year about this time, Diane and one of our neighbors came to you all and talked about the shoreline erosion problem at the lake with pictures. And with single pictures, there was no frame of reference. So what we wanted to do this year is come back with the old pictures and the new ones to show the difference. So I pull your attention to page 1 at the top. You'll notice that the top one shows a 70-inch space between our survey pin and the shoreline last year. Bottom page, in August of this year, it's now 82 inches. So we've lost a foot of shoreline in 1 year. The next page, page 2. You may or may not know that survey pins are 18 inches long, and they're driven into the ground so that the top of the survey pin is at ground level. So that top picture shows that our survey pin last year was 12 inches above ground. This year it's 18 inches and it fell over. This, my friends, is the pin that fell over because the shore eroded away. So in that 5-year period, we've lost 18 inches more of shoreline. So the surveys were done out there in 2016. We're one of the lot owners. We're one of the 23 people who actually own the lots at the west end of the lake. And those surveys were done in early 16, and then we purchased the land towards the end of 16 through a land exchange with the State School Land Commission. The next page, page 3, our dock is a stationary dock, and there's 2 pictures there, and when the lake is full, we have approximately 18 inches between the top of the water and the deck of the dock. That's about how much length is there. We've had that property for 20 years. We have a 1/4 mile of open water to the south, and so the wind kicks up whitecaps periodically. In 20 years, we've never seen the whitecaps hit the top of the deck. This year, this summer, several times, I know at least 3 different times where the wake boats have caused the waves to hit the top of the deck and make it wet. So just to give you an idea of the damage that the wake boats are causing. Page 4. Now we're moving into city-owned property. This is yours. So that top picture, that's a cedar tree in the center. This was taken in 2007. Those roots were fully underground. The next picture down is taken from a little further back, but the second tree from the left is that same cedar tree. You can see we've trimmed it up some, but look how close the shoreline is to that tree now compared to what it was in 2007. An example again of the damage that's being caused. Now, if you go to page 5, this is a wake zone map that was prepared by our friends at the CLO, Commissioners of the Land Office. This is the land where it says Patterson Road. From there west is owned by the School Land Commission, except for the 23 of us who own lots. So looking at that, if you do a landscape.
Sir, your time has expired. I'm very sorry.
Okay, well, you can read the map yourself.
Thank you. This is very helpful. Appreciate it. Okay. We have one more, it looks like, Mr. Brandon Dyer. Come on up, Brandon.
Hello, I'm Brandon Dyer. I'm the Director of Community Renewal of Pottawattamie County, and I am here to enthusiastically offer my support for this resolution tonight. Shawnee is my hometown. It is my home. It is my wife's hometown. We moved away for a while with work and different things. When we decided to raise a family, we wanted to move back here to this town that raised us, this town that we love and cherish very much, and have the opportunity to give back to it in ways that it gave to us. And we've had many opportunities, one of which, for me, was the opportunity to start Community Renewal of Pottawattamie County, and I'm really excited about that. Our mission is to strengthen the foundation of our community through intentional relationships. And that's what this is tonight. That is what this opportunity affords us, is an opportunity to strengthen our community through a very intentional relationship. 3 years ago, Zoe Lozier came to work for our staff. I hope you've had the pleasure to get to know her. And she brought with her a ridiculous dream. She said she wanted in 50 years, by the year 2068, for Shawnee to be known as the greatest place in the United States to raise a family. I thought she was crazy. I thought she was just wild-eyed and naive. But it's because of the leadership that exists within this community and the leadership that it took to bring together this relationship, to bring together the capacity, to bring together the creativity of the citizen Pottawattamie Nation and the city of Shawnee that gives me great hope that that dream will come true. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we didn't have any more, so, okay, very good. All right, item 2, consider approval of consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes,
would
sir.
like to pull item 2B.
2B.
Boy.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody got anything else you'd like to pull? Do we have a motion from anybody?
I'll make a motion
All right, so for,
that we approve with 2B being removed.
all right. Thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second to approve everything other than 2B. So we'll vote, call the question. And that passes 7-0. So that gets us to item 2B.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I missed my first commission meeting on September the 7th after 4.5 years, and so I will need to abstain on that vote. So
All right.
that's why I had pulled it.
Okay. Motion from anybody on that item?
I'll make a motion we approve item 2B.
Thank you, sir. All righty, we have a motion and a second for the approval of item 2B. We'll call the question. And motion passes 6 ayes and 1 abstention. All righty, item 3. Presentation by Animal Control to present the pet of the week. Last time we had pig pictures. Maybe we'll have it. Here we go. There we go. Looks like we got a kitty cat.
Hi, y'all. We have actually 23 dogs still inside, a cat, and 1 pig. Miss Piggy's still there. Yes, we can. Oh, thank you. And we had 2 reclaims and 1 rescue. We have done 16 adoptions of dogs and 3 cats. ARC, which does our low-cost spay and neuter clinics, they're having a spay and neuter clinic on the October 12th and October 25th. And you just go ahead and call the shelter, and we can go ahead and give you their phone number or look on their website. And this is Mo. He's 6 months old. Tabby and White. His brothers Larry and Curly got adopted already, so he does need a home, so he is used to other cats. And he loves to climb high. So he's not a cat that likes to hide. He likes to crawl all over the furniture. And he gets the zoomies a lot. So come on down.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
And he is purring.
That's good. Okay, item 4 is discussion, consideration, possible action to enter into executive session in accordance with 25 OS 307B4 to discuss confidential communication between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of the attorney, determines that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest, specifically regarding the Pottawattamie County case number CV 2014-128. So, gentlemen.
I'll make a motion we go to executive session.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
All righty, so we have a motion and a second. And we will call the question. And that passes 7-0, so we will go right down the hall, and we will be right back. Looking around, we are back in session, returning from executive session. And, does anybody have a motion from executive session? All right, seeing none, then we'll move on to item 5.
Number 6.
Guess we are to item 6. So, acknowledgement of Citizen Pottawattamie Nation approval of the joint resolution and cooperation agreement. So, Mr. Vondran, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. This item has been placed on the agenda simply to acknowledge for the public and for the gentleman on the commission that the agenda items, specifically the joint resolution and the continued cooperation agreement that are before this commission this evening for consideration and possible vote, have been reviewed and approved through the government of the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation. And I wanted to also recognize the members of that tribal government that have made their appearance here today so that we can see firsthand the acknowledgement of their process in approving those two documents as you gentlemen consider them.
Thank you. And would this just be an acknowledgement? There's no...
That's correct. There's no action.
So we can just move on to item 7 then. All righty. Item 7 is discussion and consideration regarding the cooperation agreement between City of Shawnee, Oklahoma and the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation, approving the cooperation agreement and authorizing the mayor to execute the cooperation agreement on behalf of the City of Shawnee. And Mr. Vondran is up again. You were there and now you're back.
I should have read ahead. I might just need to stand
That's
up here for a
okay.
moment, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, again, thank you. I'm going to be very brief. I think the agreement speaks for itself. It's been published, and the commission has had an opportunity to review that agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have with regard to it, but at this point, I think I will leave it brief and open the floor to any questions.
All righty. Anybody got any questions for Joe while we've got him here? You must have explained it well. I don't see any questions. So with that, anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion, sir.
Ready?
I'll second.
So I'm guessing that's a motion for approval of item
Yes, sir.
7. Then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's Travis and Mark. And could we do a roll call vote? Okay, very good.
Flood?
Yes.
Seymour?
Yes.
Salter?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bolt?
Yes.
Rutherford?
Yes.
All righty, so if my math is right, that approval is 7-0. We'll move on to item 8, discussion and consideration of a joint resolution of the City of Shawnee and the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation committing to continued partnership for the growth and strength of the respective entities, approving the joint resolution and authorizing the mayor to execute the cooperation agreement on behalf of the City of Shawnee. Mr. Vondran is up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission. Again, the document has been provided, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Anybody got any questions for Joe? Okay. Seeing none, would anyone have a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve the joint resolution.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
All righty, we have a motion and a second. City Attorney, I believe you were up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A joint resolution by and between the Citizen Pottawattamie Nation and the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma, committing to the continued partnership for the growth and strength of the respective entities.
Thank you, sir. Okay, motion and a second. We will call the question. Or let's do a roll call vote again.
Yes.
Rutherford?
Yes.
Seymour?
Yes.
Salter?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Bolt?
Yes. And that also passes 7-0. Item 9, consideration of an ordinance relating to amending the boundaries of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma by de-annexing, detaching certain real property within the City of Shawnee, Pottawattamie County to wit, all are part of sections 25, 35, 36, Township 10, North, Range 3, east of the Indian Meridian, and all of parts Section 28, 29, 30, 31, Township 10 North, Range 4, east of the Indian Meridian, all lying within Pottawattamie County, State of Oklahoma, and more fully described within the ordinance attached hereto, providing for repeal, providing for severability, providing for emergency clause. And Mr. Attorney, it's your show again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission. As evidenced by the ordinance title and by the ordinance that the Commission has had the opportunity to review, this will detach a portion of the current corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, primarily lying south of the river. The bulk of the territory is owned by the citizen Pottawattamie Nation. There are a few exceptions, and I do have one correction to the ordinance as published. The legal description, which is the first of several legal descriptions on Exhibit A to the ordinance. You've been provided an updated legal. The highlighted portion is the addition. It does not change the legal boundaries in any way, shape, or form, but when that particular property, which is being accepted from the detachment, and so for the Commission's reference, that is where the Sonic drive-in is at Hardesty and Highway 177. When that particular parcel of property was developed, the city required a short-form subdivision be created to facilitate that development, which resulted in an additional legal for that particular parcel, specifically that highlighted portion before you, Lot 1, Block 1. So we are asking that if the commission is to approve the ordinance detaching this property, it be with the amended Exhibit A. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
All righty. Anybody got any other questions for Joe? Okay. Seeing none, then anyone have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, sir, that we approve item number 9 with the described amendments.
All righty. Thank you, sir. So we have a motion.
I'll second.
All righty. Motion and a second. I believe you are up again, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending the boundaries of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma by de-annexing, detaching certain property within the city of Shawnee, Pottawattamie County, to wit, all or part of sections 25, 35, 36, Township 10 North, Range 3 east of the Indian Meridian, and all or part of sections 28, 29, 30, 31, Township 10 North, Range 4 east of the Indian Meridian, all lying within Pottawattamie County, State of Oklahoma, and more fully described herein, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second. We will, let's do roll call vote again.
Flood,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Bolt,
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Seahorn,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes.
All righty, that passes 7-0. So what we are going to do next is we're going to take about a 5 to 10 minute, emergency clause, yes we do.
I'll make a motion
Alrighty.
that we add emergency clause.
I'll second.
There, okay, we have motion and a second for the emergency clause. We'll do a roll call vote for that too.
Matthews.
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Seahorn,
Yes.
Salter,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Flood,
Yes.
Bolt.
Yes. Okay, emergency clause passes 7-0. All righty, so now we will take about a 5 to 10 minute recess, because I know there's a number of folks that want to leave the chambers, but thank you so much for everybody that came that's going to be leaving. It's good to have you here in our chambers. We love having our neighbors here to come visit us.
Mr. Mayor, could I
Yes,
get you
sir.
the commissioners to join the
Absolutely. Let's go
chairman
do
and
that.
president? Mayor, right here, chairman here.
get back to business. So that gets us to, if I'm counting right, item 10. Acknowledgement of the resignation of Ward 2 Commissioner Bob Weaver, effective at 11:59 p.m. September 21st. And we will, like you were a minute, it's just your show tonight.
Yeah, I'll be quick, Mr. Mayor. There's no action needed. It's simply an acknowledgement.
Okay, very good.
Can I make a quick comment on that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, as I previously announced that we have moved and that it's, I was going to wait until the next meeting to step down, but I really felt like it's in the best interest of this commission, in particular, having a new city manager that we'll soon be naming, and the new commissioner, whoever that might be, having an opportunity to work with her sooner would be, I think, of real benefit. So I think this will give us a 2-week jump if I step down as a result of tomorrow's meeting that we have, and that'll be hopefully in the best interest of everybody. So that's just an explanation why I'll be leaving 2 weeks earlier than what I'd originally stated. But I appreciate being able to serve. Great staff, great members. Best of luck to all of you, and citizens, keep being involved. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, well, I just want to add, just thank you for serving the city of Shawnee. I know you've done this multiple times, and we do appreciate all the hard work. I know at times it can get, you got folks barking at you, and that's never fun, and we appreciate you being willing to take that on and all your hard work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Yeah, so do we need to do anything at all, Joe, to vote on it? Okay, so just an acknowledgement. We'll move on to item 11, discussion and consideration of possible appointment for Ward 2 Commissioner to complete the remainder of the term expiring in 2024. So Joe is up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission. I know many of you have dealt with this previously. There's a couple paths in which the commission could take. If the commission will recall, the last time there was a vacancy, I believe it was Commissioner Matthews' seat. The commission sought applications, and then interested parties were able to apply for the seat. There's no requirement to do that, but there is a time frame. So 60 days from midnight tomorrow will be the time frame in which this commission can make a decision to appoint. And so we thought it best to put this on the agenda to begin you thinking about that process. Ultimately, there's no requirement that you appoint anyone to fill that seat. If you do not, then you'll need to call for a special election to fill the seat. If you do appoint that individual, Commissioner Weaver's, as the agenda points out, term is till 2024. However, an appointed replacement would only serve until the next general election, and then they would stand for election at that time. So that would be next June.
Right.
When that election would occur. So an appointment would be for a relatively short period of time, and if and when that person ran in 2022, it would be for the remaining 2 years of that term to expire in 2024. I've had that question asked, and I want to make sure that was clear to the commission and those in attendance tonight. So with that, you have options that I know you guys are aware of. If you'd like to take action tonight, you're certainly allowed to do so. Could even take action potentially at the next meeting with regard to application. But again, I would caution you to be mindful of that 60-day window.
Right. Any questions? I don't have any questions, but I would guess that we would, if we decided to do applications, then we would ask you guys to advertise that, here pretty quick. And
We're going to notice that I can send to the newspaper tomorrow.
oh, okay, okay.
And the deadline would be the Thursday before, so September 30th.
Okay, so in time for the next meeting then?
Yes.
Right.
To be attached to the agenda.
As you would expect, the city clerk, just in case everybody didn't hear, the city clerk anticipated the potential for that motion,
Sure.
which means that can be published tomorrow, meaning that the applications would be in time for this to be entertained at the next commission meeting on October the 4th.
Okay, very good. So, I mean, I'd kind of like to see us do applications like we did last time, give people that opportunity. So if that's my motion then, is that we would do that. But it will need a second, I'm sure.
I'll second.
Okay. Alrighty. So we have a motion and a second to advertise the position for Ward 2 Commissioner to complete the remainder of the term expiring in 2024 with all the other information that our city attorney just shared with us. So we will call the question. And that passes 7-0. Item 12 is discussion and consideration of an appointment of a city commissioner to the Parks and Recreation Committee, somewhat related to the last item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commission, yes, you're correct. Commissioner Weaver currently sits as the commission representative on the Beautification Committee. That is required. And given his resignation, we are requesting that the commission appoint another commissioner to sit on that committee.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Said beautification.
I apologize. Thank
It's
you.
Parks and Rec.
Been a long night, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah.
We still got
I
more
know
to go.
Joe
I'll
just
step it
needs a chair up there, as much as he's been there tonight. So basically, Bob was serving on that. I think I was initially, and then when I got elected mayor, then you got elected commissioner, so you took that seat on there because we have to have a commissioner on that committee. And now you're rolling off by virtue of resigning that position. So one of us would need to, be on that committee. I have a hunch I know someone that might be interested, but I guess that's the question. So who would like to do that?
Sir, I would be honored to serve on that committee for the city of Shawnee.
Okay, so anyone? I guess what we need is a motion to maybe put Travis in that position or ask him to serve in that capacity.
Motion to name Commissioner Flood.
All righty, so we have a motion from Mr. Weaver. We need a second. So second by Mark.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Weaver, I just want to, the proper procedure, just to make sure we're on the same page, would be that would be a mayoral appointment being ratified by the rest of the commission.
Right.
Okay.
All righty. Good with that? All righty, so we will call the question then. And that passes 6 ayes and 1 abstention. Item 13, discussion and consideration of resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma, amending the committee makeup of the Lake Advisory Committee pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 35, the Shawnee Code of Ordinances. So, Joe, you are once again up.
Mr. Mayor, Commission, thank you very much. Again, related to Commissioner Weaver's resignation, the Lake Advisory Committee, that resolution set forth that there would be 2 commissioners serve on that committee and that committee would have no more than 12 members. Given Commissioner Weaver's pending resignation, that would reduce the number of commissioners serving on the committee to 1. And there was a stated intention by Commissioner Weaver to remain on that committee at a previous meeting. And so if he remained on that and then another commissioner were appointed, then that would raise the ceiling for the membership of that committee to 13. This resolution was drafted in an effort to accommodate such a change if that was the will of the commission. So that is what is before you tonight, is whether or not you wish to proceed in that manner.
Okay. Anybody got questions or? No. Just, I don't, Bob, we probably ought to just share the conversation that you and I just had, so that I just learned of this a few seconds ago.
I kind
so
of stumped him on that one, and Joe, I didn't visit with you as well. But I had suggested that if we're going to add that 13th member, there was one individual at Shawnee Lake that I think would make sense that we have on that committee as opposed to me being. I think could bring a whole lot more to the Lake Advisory Committee, and that's Amy Camarada. She's on the state lease owner side, and we're not represented on this committee. And I just asked the mayor if he I appreciated the willingness to accommodate my request to be on that, but I felt like if we're going to add another member, and I think we thought she was on that committee anyway, and it turns out that that was not correct. I just felt like that she would be the better representative on that, and if it would be the will of the commission, and I'm not too much out of order here, Mr. Counsel, to suggest her, I think that we would be much better served on the Lake Advisory Committee.
Yes, Commissioner Weaver, understanding your intention, and I'll anticipate the question. If it were the will of the commission, the resolution as authored would allow for Ms. Camarada or anyone else to be appointed, as long as we also designate an additional commissioner to serve on the committee. That would bring the total number to 13 with 2 commissioners. As you guys probably recall, because it was a recent action of this board, it would be a mayoral appointment of Ms. Camarada or anyone else to serve on the committee that would need to be ratified by this group. So that would be the proper procedure in addition to this resolution. And to be frank, given the late hour of it, I would prefer that we have an agenda item to allow for that appointment and ultimate ratification at a future meeting, but it could be done as early as October the 4th.
So your recommendation would be then to defer that to a future meeting?
I think that the commission can take action on the resolution this evening, but as far as an appointment of anyone other than Mr. Weaver, who already served, so not even an appointment, other than continuing his service, just removing the commissioner designation, I think that would require a separate agenda item, but again, that could be placed as soon as the October 4th meeting.
Okay.
So we need a motion to modify the makeup of the committee to only one commissioner.
Well, actually, the resolution as authored, Commissioner Rutherford, that is before you, increases the number of committee members to 13 and leaves the number of commissioners at 2.
So we need another commissioner.
The first thing you would need to do would be to pass the resolution. And if that occurs, then you would need another commissioner and potentially a 13th member.
Okay, so I'm trying to do the math and follow the paper trail. Is it your intention to stay?
It was my intention.
Okay,
correct.
no, I'm great with that. I want to make sure that we do it so that your wishes can be honored. So we're at 12 currently. We need to go to 13 and add a commissioner. How does that math work for the potential appointment of Ms. Camarada? Do we need to go to 14?
It does not. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought Commissioner Weaver was stepping down in favor of Ms. Camarada.
That's
correct.
my understanding.
Yes, that is correct.
What he relayed to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you just said you were staying on it.
No, that was
Okay.
just what my request had been.
Okay.
And then
I think I got the math now.
Okay.
So then would we need at the October 4th meeting a resignation from citizen Bob Weaver and an appointment of Ms. Camarada or whoever the mayor chooses?
The resignation I'm less concerned about because I think that intent has been made this evening. But we would certainly need to, this board would need to take action to ratify a mayoral appointment of Ms. Camarada or any other 13th member.
Gotcha.
Mr. Weaver was serving in the capacity of a commissioner, so
That's
when
correct.
he resigned as commissioner, then that also
Correct.
carries the lake and,
Right.
the other committees, so.
And so if the resolution were passed, Mr. Mayor, that would require the appointment of an additional commissioner.
Right.
So you need another volunteer.
Yeah.
And if I can entice a volunteer, we have a sunset cruise planned for the committee Wednesday night at beautiful Shawnee Twin Lakes.
Okay, so, well, I guess first we could ask if we had a volunteer, and if not, I mean, I would assume that could even be decided at the next meeting, so folks could think about
That's
that.
correct,
I mean,
Mayor.
you don't have to jump on board right now, but is there anybody that you're already serving, so. We can, let's just do that at the next meeting. We'll get all that lined out then.
I'm sorry for the confusion.
No, that's all right. I would rather you.
If that is the path the commission wishes to take, which is certainly your prerogative, it would still be staff's recommendation to pass the resolution.
Right, absolutely,
clarifying that.
absolutely, without doubt.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Okay.
I'll second.
Daniel and Travis. Okay, so you are up again, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma, amending the committee makeup of the Lake Advisory Committee pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 35 of the Shawnee Code of Ordinances.
All right, thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second to pass item 13. We will call the question. And that passes 7-0. Okay, item 14, discussion and consideration to lease a 2022 Freightliner asphalt patch truck from JR Equipment at the total annual cost of $56,722.48. And Mr. Schmidt is up. How are you, Brad?
Good, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
So this piece of equipment is used to patch potholes throughout the city. On the 75% of our 785 lane miles in the city of Shawnee is asphalt. This patch is anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000, 2,500 potholes on an annual basis. The current vehicle we have is a 2014, so it is relatively new for our fleet. The problem is it spends more time in the repair shop than it does on the roadway. As you can see in the picture, that's not a very good picture. I couldn't get another one because it's currently in the shop. So,
okay.
Also, the dealer for our current model is located out of Waco, Texas. There's no local dealer, so if our city staff cannot correct it and get it repaired and operational, then it has to go to Waco, or we have to pay for them to come to us. Our new model, or proposed lease, is a 36-month lease through state bid. This vehicle would come with a 5-year, 200,000-mile warranty. You do have options at the end of the lease period to either purchase outright or trade in for another newer model. It will stay under warranty throughout the lease. And then our capacity of the hopper on the rear of the vehicle that the asphalt is held in will almost double in capacity, meaning fewer trips to the asphalt supplier and more time on the roadways.
Okay. Very good. What questions do you guys get for Brad?
Brad, the current truck, when it is operational, are we going to keep it, use it as a backup?
Initially, yes. Our hopes and plan is to have both moving to where we can get caught up.
Great.
Very good.
It's amazing.
The maintenance facility for this one's in the city,
Yes, sir. It's in Oklahoma City. It's actually will be leased through J&R Equipment, which we have several other pieces of equipment leased through. Frame and chassis is Freightliner, which is standard with the rest of our fleet of tandems and flushers as well.
Okay.
So is staff recommending to lease it or purchase it?
Staff would recommend 36-month lease, and then evaluate towards the end of that if we want to purchase.
You just have the residual value to pay?
Yes, sir. The original, if we were to buy this all at once, it's over $290,000. This will cost us an annual cost for this fiscal year of just under $57,000.
Right.
$7,000 a month.
$7,000 a month, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we lease the piece of equipment they need.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Mark and Darren. All righty, we have motion and a second for approval of item 14. We will call the question. And that passes 7-0. Item 15, discussion and consideration of a proposal with Elevation Land Surveying to provide professional survey services at Shawnee Twin Lakes. So Seth is up there. He is.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon,
How are
Mayor
you,
and
sir?
Commissioners. Pretty good. So as the mayor just stated, this is a professional services contract with Elevation Land Surveying. They're a survey company based out of Oklahoma City, and the contract is for $67,500. This contract is to perform a survey of our lake property, specifically around Lake 1. So long story short, we've been operating the lake for about 86 years. When the lake property was acquired by the city, it was formed through purchasing a conglomeration of different properties. So, in short, all the property that was going to be impacted by the lake, that property was purchased regardless, the shape, size that it may be. So, since then, as you might imagine, over 80 plus years, we've added parks, easements, lake lot leases, roadways, etc. It's somewhat muddied the water, added some confusion to interpretation, etc. So what the goal of this first phase is, this first contract, is to consolidate and organize all the historical information into one plat and put us on better footing moving forward. So really, whatever the direction that you guys choose or the lake committee responds to, whatever, this puts us in a spot where we can move forward with that recommendation at you guys as well. So it obviously includes a lot of research at the county courthouse, but the ultimate goal is a single exterior boundary that's recreatable by any survey company, identifiable by corner pins, and also all easements and necessary information within that boundary. So with that, I would answer any questions you guys, or have Mr. Vondran help me answer any questions that you guys may have.
I have a question. What is phase 2?
So I mentioned a little bit in the memo, the phase 2 would be to further research and at you guys' direction, either subdivide further or identify what boundaries we want to create around our parks within our boundary, our roadway right away within that boundary, any easements that we might need for our own future development or non-development. Really, this just puts us on the footing to move forward.
What it does not include is lake lot lease lines.
Okay. And at what point does that become a discussion item? Is that phase 3?
Well, as it's outlined right now, lake lot lease boundaries isn't currently identified in a phase. So, I mean, this sets us up to, if we want to go that route, we're there.
This opens the door to that very venue, Commissioner.
Okay. But that's not part of the plan at this point?
Not in phase 1.
Not in phase 1.
Well, I know it's not in 1, but I mean, it's not where we're trying to head at this point.
I think we're safe in saying that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
If I'm understanding you correctly, say the Lake Committee makes recommendations, we accept those, or we have our own, however that situation occurs, this would have to be done regardless to move forward. Is that
right?
What I'm
yeah.
hearing?
I mean, if the Lake Committee's response was that we want nothing to change and we want everything to stay the same, this helps us better understand the lake as we have it. Our parks, our easements, our roadway, our lake lot leases. All right. And if the committee comes back and says, I'm being dramatic, but we want rapid commercialization of the lake property, we need to do this too. You know what I mean? It sets us up for any future element we would have at the lake.
Any other questions?
This is only like 1.
Correct. Yeah, that was largely just because of the budget associated with the project. I had asked in fiscal year 22 for a budget for this project, and doing Lake 1, Lake 2, or really any future phases was going to be cost prohibitive, so we decided to break it into chunks and head down the path, but not necessarily get the whole goal done at once.
Okay. Anybody got anything else for Seth? Anyone like to make a motion? I'm still looking there. Staff's recommendation is?
Staff's recommendation is for approval, sorry.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second for approval on item 15, and we will call the question. And that item passes 7-0. Item 16, discussion and consideration of proposal with Latham Consulting Group and Dunnington Consulting for Governmental and Community Affairs, and Mr. Benson is up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. You recall in my previous tour here in Shawnee as your interim city manager, I remarked to the extent that we lack representation at 3 levels. One was at Washington, D.C., another was at Oklahoma City, and then to a lesser extent locally. We fixed the third one, but we still, to my surprise, find that we have a lack of representation to give us access not only to decision-making, but more importantly to funding levels. Now, the last 24 months have shown a largesse unseen in U.S. history.
Yep.
To date, this community has received only the grant applications provided by our extraordinary grant writer and outreach coordinator, Lauren Craig. We have missed the train for millions of dollars, not only from our federal government, but from our state government. And one of the reasons we've lost that ability is because we don't have anybody to get us behind the rope, and that's my term. If you want to get into that club, somebody's got to lift the rope for you. Yep. So we've done research. We've invited Matt Latham and Jason Dunnington, who I invite to join me, and they have provided us with an opportunity to receive some of the most credible representation at the state level that we've had. And I want to remind you that we have extraordinary representation, but it only can go so far. Our local state representative is here tonight, and I think he would agree with me that I, and you need help to receive that support. So, gentlemen, we're ready to answer any questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me add, Mr. Mayor, that
Yes,
we've
sir.
been offered a rock bottom price on this. This is an extraordinary gesture, not only of goodwill, but commitment to our community by one of the most recognized firms in the state.
Have you guys got time for a few words, or?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Matt Latham, and this is Jason Dunnington. And we have a little over 2 decades of experience in government affairs. We're excited for the opportunity to potentially work with you guys. Our job is to work alongside your representation that you send up to the Capitol to bring results back for Shawnee. And we're really excited about that opportunity. I think there's a lot of fruit out there right now. As he mentioned, that there's a lot of dollars coming in from the federal government. State government is going to be deciding where a lot of those go. There's a variety of other opportunities for you guys to engage. And our goal is to help open those doors. So hopefully, if everything goes well tonight, we'll be working with you.
Okay, thank you. You know, anything to add, sir?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know that I have much else to add other than the fact that, as Mr. Benson had said, one of the most important things, especially with 23rd and Lincoln, as session begins in February and runs through May, having representation means that you'll have active voices, eyes and ears in the building 5 days a week that is working on your behalf.
Okay, thank you.
But we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, questions? Dan, do you want to talk some? 'Cause
Yeah,
I've been
I'll
real
say,
interested in this.
This has long been a area I've viewed as need for our community. I will say your those that you currently represent speak very highly of you and the results that you've been able to deliver. Not just what you'll do at the Capitol, but also I think we've seen in some of our big projects such as Kickapoo, and we've got to get into the state agencies and get their favor and your ability to help us with that. So to me, I think this is a big step. When I look across the state and I see the communities where you see big projects being approved, and you wonder how in the world did that happen, well, you don't have to look very far because you see communities that are represented and on that level. So I enthusiastically endorse this. Know that, as Mr. Benson said, while the price tag could scare people at first in this realm, this is a very friendly deal for the city of Shawnee, and look forward to supporting this.
Okay.
I am beyond sure that you gentlemen have represented cities very much like ours, but as a commissioner, my ultimate goal is that you represent us to the best of our ability. How do you propose that you will maintain those relationships and the knowledge of what we truly need and what we're truly asking for you guys to do as far as representing us?
So there's a couple things we'll do there. One, it's going to take us a little bit to get up to speed on the city of Shawnee. That's just realistic. Anytime we onboard a new client, it's going to take us a little bit of time to understand who you are, why you need what you need. But that's not something that we haven't done before.
Right.
First thing we'd want to do is meet with a lot of you individually, get an idea of what it is that you're looking for. We'd work with city leadership to make sure that we have a tracking list that tracks certain key terms and things like that come up in bills. It's amazing how many times that there's a piece of legislation out there that if you're not looking for certain words, you may not realize it affects the city of Shawnee at all, and it could have a dramatic effect. And so that's something that we can do. I mean, you've got some great elected officials around here, but for them to look for every word in every bill isn't realistic. They don't have large staffs. If they have, maybe one person at all. And so it's very difficult for them to keep track of all those things. That's the kind of thing that we're able to do on our end, find those nuanced issues and make sure we're relaying that back to you. You'll get regular reports from us. I'm not sure if every commissioner will want that or if that's something that just the city manager will want. We're happy to work with you either way, however you prefer that. Some of them can be really in the weeds and some of them can be pretty top level. It just kind of depends on what your desire is and frankly how much you want to read, because there may be in any given year you're going to see 3,000-4,000 bills filed. Those bills could be 1 page, those bills could be 400 pages, and they're not an interesting read. Like, it's not like a really exciting book. A lot of them are really boring, and so we're happy to send all the ones that matter to you and let you read through them if you want. I don't recommend it unless you got some real caffeine boosts in your system, but that's what we're there for. And hopefully, over time, as we get to know each other, we don't view this as a one-year thing. We'd love to work with the city of Shawnee for the rest of our careers. And as we get to know you better, I think we'll be able to do a better job of that. But that's just really about communication and relationship building with us. And then our job will be to relay that over at the Capitol. Your elected officials locally will already know a lot of what you're doing, but you even have some regional elected officials that should be looking at the city of Shawnee as an opportunity for their communities too, in partnership. And we're really excited about some of what that could look like. But as I said, it'd just be getting to know you guys better and making sure that we know, what the things are that you're looking for. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and continued just investment, spent time in the community. I think that's an important part. I remember the first time that I came to the city of Shawnee, I was a student at Southern Nazarene University, and OBU was our big rival. So we would come out here to cheer on our team play against OBU, and that was back in the 90s. And there's been a lot of change in Shawnee since then. And I think a lot in the good. And so it'll be to continue to come out and spend time in the community and get to know both community leaders. But I think it's also important to hear from businesses and folks that are affected by the decisions that you all make so that we can help you all make the best decisions at 23rd Lincoln.
I'd like to note in the 90s, OBU won an overwhelmingly amount of time.
Yeah. I'm sure they appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We won one championship.
Yeah.
Go Bison.
Thank you. I look forward to getting to know you, gentlemen.
Any other questions we have while we have them here? I mean, personally, I think this fits in real well with what, the guy from OMEG had to say about planning, and I think that fits in real well. And there's definitely more money being passed out now than I think any of us have ever seen in our lifetime. So we definitely want to get our share of it, and hopefully someone else's share of it too. So,
I'd like to get all the cities that don't have representation.
there you go. We'll take it. Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agreement.
And I'll second.
All righty. Daniel and Travis. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Mayor.
very much. So we have a motion and a second. We will call the question. And motion passes 7-0, so we look forward to working with you. Item 17, a discussion and consideration of amended contract with Safe Events for Families, SEF, for fiscal year 2021-2022. And Mr. Vondran is up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. This will be brief. You have in your packet an amended contract between the City of Shawnee and Safe Events for Families. Commission will recall that in June, upon the recommendation of the Community Service Contract Committee, this board approved a version of the contract with SEF. Ultimately, the SEF board has come back and requested some changes through some negotiation. We've reached acceptable language to staff and to the SEF Board of Directors as to paragraph 8. That is the only thing that has changed, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Could you maybe just tell us specifically, just so everybody could hear what the change
Sure.
is?
Previously, the city had requested that SEF be subject to their books and records be subject to inspection by a designated city staff member. What the revised paragraph 8 does is restricts that to inspection of the books and records as it pertains to city funds,
Right.
and not funds that they may receive from outside donation
So
sources.
basically our reimbursements to them.
That's correct. It gives us
Right.
ability to fully track and audit all of the expenditures that are made by the City of Shawnee,
Right.
but it would not allow access to any expenditures or donations, flow of funds within the SEF organization from outside sources.
Right. Any other questions for Joe while we've got him up here?
And I was correct. Mr. Curbs is here. You guys have approved this, correct?
I see him nodding. All right. Any discussion? Anyone like to make a motion?
Move to approve item 17.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 17. We will call the question. I don't think your button took there, Vinny. Still blinking at you. There you go. All righty, motion passes 7-0. Item 18, discussion and consideration of resolution adopting the Pottawattamie County Hazard Mitigation Plan for the City of Shawnee. And Rochelle is up. There she is. She's quick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Rochelle Erickson. I'm the Shawnee Emergency Management Director. And for the last year and a half, we've been working on the Pottawattamie County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Pottawattamie County has hired L.E. Marshall Consulting, LLC, for this plan and has placed her on retainer as well for future updating. So she'll be responsible for annual updates as well as the whole review every 5 years.
Right.
It has been passed by the Oklahoma Emergency Management Office and at FEMA in approved status. And I'm asking your approval on the resolution adopting Pottawattamie County Hazard Mitigation Plan and placing it into effect. Happy to answer anything?
Any questions, gentlemen? Seems like we do this like every year, don't we?
It's an
I was thinking we
administrative.
did, yeah.
Zero funds.
Anybody got any questions? If not, anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
All righty.
I'll second.
All righty, we have a motion and a second, so Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution adopting the Pottawattamie County Hazard Mitigation Plan for the City of Shawnee.
Thank you, sir. All right, motion and a second, we'll call the question. And motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 19, discussion and consideration of a resolution adopting the emergency operation plan for the City of Shawnee. Your turn again.
Yes, thank you. This emergency operations plan is required under the state and federal laws and is based upon as well as compliant with federal and state guidance. This EOP defines the scope of preparedness and response steps and considerations for all hazards affecting our community. It also sets the stage for long-term recovery following a disaster or major emergency. Writing a good plan takes time. In this process, I started with the premise that all disasters and major emergencies are local first, and operations will be carried out by departments, agencies, organizations based upon augmenting their day-to-day responsibilities. After the review by key staff who will use this plan, I sought out the best practices from other communities and incorporated those that would be helpful. We then developed the final draft to include information and checklists to facilitate management, functionality, ease of use. This final draft provided a good strategic organization structure and procedures. The final draft was reviewed by stakeholders and signatures obtained concurrent statements by each stakeholder for the roles and responsibilities outlined within the plan. I'm asking you to approve the resolution adopting the plan and placing it into effect. The city manager has endorsed this plan, and staff recommends approval on the resolution.
Okay, thank you very much. You guys have any questions?
You act like we've done this before.
Not yet, my first time.
First time indeed.
First time she's done it. Do I get any questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
All righty, thank you. All righty, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution adopting the emergency operations plan for the city of Shawnee.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have motion and second for approval of item 19. We will call the question. And that passes 7-0. Item 20, discussion and consideration of an ordinance of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 22, Planning and Development, Article 1, in general of the city code establishing a land disturbance permit, providing for severability, codification, repealer, and emergency clause. And Seth is back up, sir.
Yes,
How are you?
sir. So, as the mayor just stated, this is to establish a new permit, albeit new to Shawnee, not really new in concept. So, the goal of the land disturbance permit is to protect our existing infrastructure, so specifically our streets and storm sewer. I don't have the clicker, but I provided a couple of pictures, kind of just give you a brief view of what I'm talking about when I say protecting our streets and storm sewer. In the past, we've regulated silt and debris from construction sites through our building permits. Right. So basically what we've done is we've asked contractors to install silt fence, construction entrances, et cetera, other best management practices. And in cases of non-compliance, we've delayed inspections or refused inspections until they fix the problem. But what we've kind of ran into a hole with is basically when there's not a building permit involved. So, for example, the construction of a residential subdivision, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're disturbing a large land area, they're building streets, they're building utilities, et cetera. There's not a building permit involved with it. So this is basically in line with surrounding communities, OKC, Norman, Edmond, et cetera. It basically takes in all of the stuff that they're required to do for the state level anyway. So they're by the OPDES, their state permit, the OKR 10, their stormwater pollution prevention plan, a couple other items, et cetera. It's combining those and giving those to us. Mm-hmm. And then through the permit, we have the ability to regulate them and tell them to clean up the street or install silt fence or et cetera. It also puts a little bit tighter window on them. So the state permit is you have to respond within 24 to 48 hours. So after you're notified. So if there's silt in the street and we notify you, they have a timeline of compliance. Mm-hmm. Whereas our old format was essentially until you need your next inspection, right? So sometimes that window is very large. You know, if they've just finished their footing inspection and they don't need another inspection until after framing, then there's a window of time there where they can be non-compliant and really have no form of punishment.
Right.
So with that, I would answer any questions that you guys have on the permit specifically.
Got a question? See none. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
All righty, we have a motion and a second. You're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 22, Planning and Development, Article 1 in general of the City Code, establishing a land disturbance permit, providing for severability, codification, repealer, and emergency clause.
Thank you, sir. All righty, we have motion and a second. We will call the question for approval on item 20. And that motion passes 7-0, so we need an emergency clause.
Move to approve the emergency clause.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
All righty, we have motion and a second to approve the emergency clause, and we will call the question. And that passes 7-0. So item 21, discussion and consideration of a resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of Shawnee that sets a fee for land disturbance permit and providing for the readoption of the city fee schedule in whole. You're up again, sir.
Yes, sir. So this is just establishing fee for the permit that we just discussed. The fee that we have outlined, I believe, is $50. So it's a relatively token fee when you're talking about development of a large property.
Right.
For reference, I think the state permit fee is like $450 or something like that. So, and the surrounding communities, if you're curious, Oklahoma City's is $55 for the identical permit. So we're in line with what's pretty typical.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? Would like to make the motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll second.
All righty, we have motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma that sets a fee for land disturbance permit and providing for the readoption of the city fee schedule in whole.
Thank you, sir. All right, motion and second for item 21 approval, and we will call the question. And that motion passes 7-0. Item 22, discussion and consideration of final plat for Trails End Phase 1 subdivision located on the east end of North Kickapoo Avenue and north of County Road 112 in the southwest quarter of Section 30, Township 11 North, Range 4 East, containing approximately 46.20 acres, case number PL05-21, applicant Joel Harrison, P.E., Craft and Toll, for Live Orange LLC. And Rachel Klein, our city planner, is up. How are you, ma'am?
Mayor, Commissioners. This is a request for a final plat for the Trails End Phase 1 subdivision. Originally, you would have seen this as a preliminary plat of larger scale. And when it was heard by the commission in January, there was a condition placed for FEMA to allow for the removal of some properties from floodplain or for the subdivision to be redesigned. While the applicant did apply and receive some letter of map amendment for removal based on fill, they went ahead and for now we've gone at Phase 1. It's basically the northern half of what was originally presented, and it meets all of the requirements of the subdivision. In your packet, I think you can see I included one that is basically a line through what was the full and what will hopefully be Phase 2. The city engineer has reviewed this and it is in compliance. Staff took this to the Planning Commission on September 1st. They made a recommendation to approve the final plat of Trails in Phase 1.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, I'm doing my best.
Okay. And your recommendation would be?
Staff's recommendation was to approve as well.
Okay, very good. Yes, Miss.
This was heard at Planning Commission?
Yes, on September 1.
Okay, I just didn't see their recommendation in our packet.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, sir.
Heard
Yes.
and passed at planning? I didn't
Yes,
see it in here either.
yes, September 1st, that's
Okay.
what Daniel had asked her, yeah. So September 1st, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, you made a
I'll make a
you made
motion to approve.
All right, thank you, sir. We have a motion for approval.
Second.
Boy, that was quick there. All right, I'm gonna say Darren.
I'm closer.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to, can you review the tape?
Replay. Okay, so, all righty, so there's nothing needs to be read. Okay, item 22, we have a motion and a second for approval. We will call the question. Mine didn't go. All righty, that passes 7-0. Thank you, ma'am. Item 23, public hearing and consideration of a ordinance to rezone property located at 15413 Nickens Road from A1 Rural Agricultural District to A1 Rural Agricultural District with a LPZ Lake Protection Zone overlay and a CUP conditional use permit for the purpose of operating a bed and breakfast Airbnb short-term rental, case number CUP 03-21, applicant Zachary and Jennifer Rental, I sure hope I said that right, and Sherry and Greg Rhodes, deferred by Planning Commission to October 13, 2021 meeting. And Rachel, you are up again, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Commissioners, again, you read what the application is for, and I believe that there is ongoing discussion amongst the commissioners with understanding of short-term rentals and how the city of Shawnee feels about them. Because it was open for discussion, staff recommended to the Planning Commission on September 1st to defer it to the next meeting, which will be October 13th, which would allow then the commission, if they have anything to do or say about it, I didn't want them to have to come back. So staff and the Planning Commission are recommending that the item be deferred to the October 13th Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, and then we would defer to like a future meeting, is that right?
That's the staff recommendation.
That'd be their recommendation. So, staff recommendation is defer to a future meeting.
Move to defer.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
And Bob. Okay, so we will vote on deferring that to a future meeting, then we will call the question. And that passes 7-0, so we will see that again soon. Item 24, public hearing and consideration of an ordinance to rezone property located at southwest of the intersection of North Kickapoo Avenue and East Highland Street, specifically lots 1 through 16, lots 23 through 28, and lots 31 and 32, and Block 1 of the Fairgrounds Addition subdivision from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District, C3 Highway Commercial District, and C4 Central Business District to C3 Highway Commercial District with a PUD planned unit development for the purpose of mixed-use development. Case number PUD 01-21, applicant Michael San Pedro. And you're up again.
Yes, sir. This request for a PUD is an interesting one, so I'll give you a little bit of background on it. Originally, the applicant is with Roots Dispensary, located at 420 North Kickapoo Avenue. They went to the zoning Board of Adjustment seeking a variance on the zoning. After much discussion and lots of input from our city attorney, what was decided, the variance was approved with the condition that the applicant return to the Planning Commission with a PUD as a gesture of, we're not just asking to fix this small thing, we want to redevelop the area, and that would be a small part of it. The condition was to meet again, I believe it was July 15th. The applicants were here for the Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting on July 15th. There was not a quorum, but they did meet their deadline, and then they applied for the PUD through the Planning Commission for the August 4th meeting. So we heard the PUD at the Planning Commission for September 1st, and that was met with recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission as well as staff. And the biggest thing to probably take from this, if you saw in your packet, there was lots of stuff in the red are the responses of what's required from a PUD that were supplied by the owner's architect. All of this basically goes into the differences of what they would be proposing as opposed to what the zoning code already requires. It's not significantly different. The main thing in working with our city engineer, they have proposed to have right turning entrances only off of Kickapoo and developing the alley to the west as exits to the north and south, with a stoplight, I think, being scheduled for placement on Highland and Kickapoo. I think I have that right, yeah. I'm happy to answer any questions. Staff and the Planning Commission recommend approval.
Okay, very good. Questions?
I don't have a question, but 420 North Kickapoo is a very fortunate address for a dispensary.
Really? I know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we don't have a question. Anybody have a motion?
A motion we approve.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a motion for approval. If it's proper, I'll make a second. All right. So we have a motion and a second. It's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance concerning the zoning classification of the following described property located within the corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, Pottawattamie County, Oklahoma, to wit, lots 1 through 16, lots 23 through 28, and lots 31 and 32, Block 1, Fairgrounds Edition of Shawnee, Pottawattamie County, Oklahoma, from zoning classification C1, Neighborhood Commercial District, C3, Highway Commercial District, and C4, Central Business District, to C3, Highway Commercial District with a PUD, Planned Unit Development, and amending the official zoning map of the city of Shawnee accordingly.
All righty, thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second approval of item 24. We'll call the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and you're right.
Yeah.
We need to have the public hearing.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if it's appropriate, I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you very much, and I'll withdraw my second. So we will open the public hearing. And is there anybody here to speak in favor? Seeing none, do we have anybody here to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing.
But glad we did.
All righty.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the item.
All righty, thank you, sir. And I'll again second it. And we now have a motion and a second, and we will call the question.
Joe, do you need to read it again?
I think it's been sufficiently addressed into the record.
There we go. Item passes 7-0. All righty. Item 25, discussion and consideration of an ordinance relating to shopping carts, amending Chapter 8 of the Shawnee Municipal Code by creating Article 11 of Chapter 8, shopping carts, providing for repeal, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an emergency clause. And Mr. Benson is up.
Mayor, Commissioners, currently there is no mechanism to manage the trafficking of shopping carts. And the elephant in the room is, why do I submit this? We do have a problem with the transport of materials to and from our community. I've received more than a few complaints about it. We discussed this last time when I asked if there were any opposition, we'd bring it back if there weren't, so we're here tonight. We have no mechanism to manage these. Now, where you stand on the issue still leaves us without a mechanism should the privilege of stealing shopping carts get beyond acceptable levels. This gives us the opportunity to manage that problem.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Benson while we've got him? How would it be any different than enforcing stealing anything else?
Well,
I mean,
currently
we
you don't have a
currently have laws
mechanism
for
for
that.
managing in my discussions with the police chief, he correctly identifies that there is no way to identify this as stolen property. It could be abandoned, it could be a number of things, but at least it gives us the mechanism to ask that question.
Okay, so the business owners would be required to put some sort of badging or something on?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
By definition, a shopping cart, as identified in the ordinance, can't be used for any other reason. That's the basis of the language.
Do you got any other questions? I mean, I know I see it every now and then, but I don't see it tons. I've been watching real careful since this came up the last time, because I'll just be honest, I mean, I've had real mixed emotions about this.
Sir, what would in 8624 describes it as a misdemeanor? What would that look like as far as fines and that penalty be assessed as far as individuals that broke this law?
You've caught me flat-footed, Commissioner. Perhaps Joe can enlighten us.
Yeah, I can step in. We simply, in this version of the ordinance, have referenced the ability to set fine by resolution. That's not been put in place.
Okay.
Through this, that does leave discretion to the judge in the event a citation is issued. But there are really two components of the ordinance as drafted. One would be that enforcement mechanism that may, if the police exercise discretion to issue a citation, result in a fine. But I think the primary function that's been referenced by the city manager is the ability to confiscate the shopping cart and return it to its rightful home, which is not something that we presently have the ability to do.
Correct. Gentlemen, you've each asked me to embrace and identify options to address a problem that we all wish weren't here, but it is.
Absolutely.
And how we deal with that this ordinance gives the police and the city officials discretion. Previously, there's no option that exists.
I'm curious about a few things. Something caught me off guard that you said a minute ago, because one of my questions that I had was if someone legally obtained a shopping cart, the difference between legally obtained it and my first reading of the ordinance, or first couple of readings when I read it, to me it looked like shopping carts that had obviously been stolen.
Right.
A minute ago you addressed something that the ordinance, and I didn't catch it in the ordinance, and maybe I missed it, says that shopping carts can only be used for purpose of at shopping. Would that mean that I'm trying to figure out.
No, it wouldn't be confined to that necessarily, but in my research with 9 different retailers in this community who provide shopping carts, none of them are for sale.
Sure.
And all of them have been stolen.
I mean, there are some on, I say this, I recognize the problem. As you know, I am the executive director of Community Market. We started with 30 grocery carts when we opened. We have 1 remaining that was original to our building. So clearly they're out and about visiting the landscape of Shawnee. But there's some that are for sale legally. You know, we buy them from places because we have to replenish them. I'm trying to figure out, and maybe Joe needs to step in, what probable cause would be to distinguish. That's my first question. How are our officers going to distinguish legally obtained versus not? Because we've bought them off Facebook Marketplace. We've bought them.
Well, in general, the utilization of a shopping cart in other than a retail setting in this ordinance would be illegal.
Okay, that was my question. Trying to figure that out. Yeah. And then if we take one, because I know the purpose of this, we're looking at cleaning up areas that are being, not treated with respect, that are affecting the image of our community. I get it. So let's say I have a shopping cart for whatever purpose. It's full of stuff. you show up to repossess it, what happens to the stuff? Because if we just dump it on the street, we've made the problem worse.
That's a difficult question to answer. It would depend on the discretion utilized by the officer with regard to a potential arrest, if it's a pertinent to another act that may necessitate that. If it's simply a citation, then at that point, if the determination is made to confiscate the cart, then they would be allowed to retain their possessions. They would just have to relocate them in a different manner.
I know perhaps it's not the city's business of how, but to the store owner or property owner whose stuff they're placed where that stuff gets dumped, I think how is an important question.
Well, I don't
Because
disagree.
if you have no way to relocate it, how are you going to do anything other than leave it right where it gets dumped?
I don't disagree. I don't think that there is a mechanism within the ordinance as drafted that directly answers that question.
No.
I think it really boils down to officer discretion in most instances.
But is it, I mean, would officer discretion be, if it's a lot of extra work, it's kind of like.
But that option does not exist currently. If an officer sees a shopping cart or 10 of them in someone's backyard, or a neighbor calls and says we have this problem, currently there's no mechanism that allows the officer even entry to ask that question. This gives them that discretion. Now, some would argue that if they don't use shopping carts, they're going to use baby carriages or red wagon flyers. Perhaps. And in that case, we may have to revisit additional items to this ordinance. We're trying to answer the larger question about how we manage this issue. And no one wants, we're not suggesting that we want to make criminals out of those who are less fortunate. But there is, let's say there are those who take advantage of the utilization of shopping carts.
And, I mean, determining, who's taking advantage, I mean, that's just a hard thing. I mean, who's taking advantage and who's...
Well, that's why you get paid the big bucks, Mr. Mayor. We're here to provide jobs.
Absolutely. That's,
We leave it to your best judgment. You have our recommendation.
yes, sir. Thank you so much and appreciate your work. Guys, we can defer this, we can take no action, we can...
I'm curious on
just-
8-628,
Yeah.
on the penalty for the owners. So they're going to be responsible for collecting these themselves, if I'm reading this correctly.
And I apologize, Commissioner, due to the length of the meeting and my poor planning, my laptop has died. The clerk has a copy, that would be very helpful. Here you go. I think Lisa's got it.
That is an
She's
option,
always-
Commissioner. There are three angles on this. One is the user, one is the supplier, and then there's clearly the responsibility of either one.
I just want to give Joe an opportunity to read
The
this
answer
so
to your
he
question
can-
is yes. I mean,
Okay, I wanted to make sure I was reading that correctly, because if I'm Dollar General and someone steals my cart,
Right.
then this section is going to could possibly penalize me for that.
It means that I, as the owner of those carts, has to adequately corral them and not let them become carried away, et cetera. There's some level of responsibility to the owner of the cart, yes. And that could include a fine for them if you find Eric Benson shopping carts around town coming, that the owner of those carts is Eric Benson.
Okay.
What's your pleasure, gentlemen? can defer it and think about it and talk about it.
I'd like to defer this item to a future meeting.
Yeah, they'll give us time to talk about it and find out more about
I
it.
think it's a problem. I mean, they're getting batteries and going to ball pipe behind a bicycle, so.
Yep.
I mean, we know it's an issue, but how to address it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, making the business owners liable for part of it. You know, I have a little bit of trouble with that when I'm providing them and, yeah.
Yeah, I've got no sympathy for anybody using them to steal and do stuff like that. I have no sympathy at all.
But that's where it's, you know, the guy's got all these personal property in there, you know, you feel for him. So I don't know how you distinguish between those two.
Yeah, maybe a little more time to think about it, talk about it.
I feel like the ones that blow across the street from Walgreens, they're gonna voluntarily go pick them up when that happens. But I'd hate to see them get fined for it. But then the rest of, yeah.
So does anyone want to make a motion?
He made a motion to defer to it.
Did you make a motion to defer?
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Is that to the next
So,
meeting or
To a future meeting, is I think what I heard you say.
I'd like to amend my motion to
Okay.
defer this to the next meeting.
October 4th?
October
sir.
4th, okay.
I'll second that.
All right.
May ask, does the commission have any direction for staff as to any additional items you'd like to see or alternate language?
What, can you look into what other communities have? I mean, like many problems we face, this is a very, the issue is.
Yeah, it's not
It is
unique.
not unique.
Not
the
unique to
issue is
Shawnee at
real,
all.
The solution is very difficult, and trying to figure out how we address it.
Well, to answer your question, Commissioner, no, it's not unique, and we did borrow this from another community.
Yeah, we did a broad survey of best practices, and this one actually is largely based on an approach that was utilized by a community in California.
Okay.
But I'm happy to provide some of the additional research for your next packet if you'd prefer to see how other communities have attacked the same issue.
Sir, my question, and I am, oh gosh, I agree that the individual using shopping carts and stealing them for the purpose of hauling batteries that they may or may not have obtained legally to ball pipe is not a good idea. But I also currently know of women who are single parents who do not have vehicles, whom that shopping cart is the only way to get their groceries home from the 2.5 mile trek from homeland to their home. And that's, and so that's where I hope the discretion part would come in with the officer, but at the same time, that's my concern, and I don't know how to balance that out. And I'm sorry for that. Not really a question.
I think that makes perfect sense.
That's a fair question, Commissioner, and it's a challenge that we all face.
Yeah.
But inaction is not going to solve this issue.
Yes, sir.
And we're trying to provide you tools that we don't currently have to address it. Now, I submit that our police department is going to clearly side with the individual in that case. Yes, we know that.
Right.
That exists. We also know that we just pulled 22 shopping carts out of one backyard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this sorry.
No, I did not recognize yours, no. They were all yellow.
And Commissioner Flood, in this particular ordinance, written permission from the owner of the shopping cart or appropriate documentation evidencing ownership by the person utilizing it is sufficient to allow their utilization. So the police would have to check that.
Right.
But I've heard the comments. I think we can work something up.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you for your
All right.
indulgence.
So, I guess we need to still vote on this, deferring it.
That's
Okay,
correct. There's a motion and a
Unless
second.
somebody wants to withdraw those. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to defer to the next scheduled meeting, which October 4th, is that right? All right, very good. So we'll call the question. And that passes 7-0. Okay, moving on. Item 27, consider bids. A HOO.
26.
Oh, 26. Too fast, all righty. Discussion and consideration regarding Shawnee Civic and Cultural Development Authority, SCCDA Trust, and Mr. Benson is up again.
I'm going to defer to city council, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
there we go, thank you.
Throwing you an audible, but I think this is the last time you have to hear from me. So, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you again. I come before you tonight seeking a motion on behalf of staff to appoint up to 3 commissioners to accompany the city manager and myself to a mediation process that will involve the SCCDA Trust and their representatives, as well as Pottawattamie County and their designated representative. This mediation has been tangentially agreed to by at a staff level, obviously awaiting vote by the appropriate governing bodies to address and hopefully resolve some languishing issues at the expo that I know this commission is intimately aware of. Excuse me. While we're setting up that process, I think all parties will cease any actions that would be seen as detrimental to any of the other parties, so that we can sit down in good faith as community partners and attempt to resolve those issues in a manner that works for all parties moving forward. And I did want to recognize, especially given the length of the meeting, a couple of the SCCDA trust members are present, and it's my understanding are present to show their agreement with this path forward. And so staff is recommending that we participate in the mediation process. We're recommending that up to 3 commissioners are designated to attend with the city manager and the city attorney. And I would answer any questions that any of you might have.
Okay, so do we ask for volunteers or mayor appointments with their ratification, or?
Either would be appropriate, Mr. Mayor. There's no requirement under city code or charter for mayoral appointment. At this point, we need to have a non-quorum group that can act and negotiate on behalf of the city. Obviously, any negotiated settlement that is reached by the 3 parties will be brought back to the respective governing bodies for ratification and approval.
Right. Okay. Is there 3 of you that'd like to volunteer? If not, I'm gonna name 3. So
I'll volunteer, Mr. Mayor.
there's 1. I see you shaking your head. You just got to make a sound.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else?
I will.
Thank you, sir. It's in your ward. So there's 3. All righty. Do we need to vote on that or any?
So that would be
I think it's just 3 volunteers. We got Mr. Matthews.
ratification and the volunteerism of
There you go.
Commissioner Matthews, Commissioner Rutherford, and Commissioner Salter to accompany the city manager and the city attorney to form a mediation process involving Pottawattamie County and the Shawnee Civic and Cultural Development Authority.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Well said, too.
Thank you, sir. Really?
I'll get you out.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move on to item 27.
We do.
Oh, we do need to vote on it. Yes, we do. All righty,
Do
so.
the ones that were voluntold, volunteered, do we abstain or vote? We're voting for the others, so.
Again, as we've discussed before, abstentions are a personal choice. I don't think there's a conflict here because this is not a decision other than to participate on behalf of the city. Obviously, the ultimate negotiated settlement, if any, would be voted on by the full board, and that would be a more significant consideration.
Okay, thank you.
There we go.
Did we have a first and second?
Well, I think we're going to get those. So that's what we need next. We need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
All righty.
Just so the record is clear, Commissioner Weaver, that motion and the subsequent second would be to have the city of Shawnee participate in the formal mediation process with Pottawattamie County and the Shawnee Civic and Cultural Development Authority, and designating Commissioner Matthews, Commissioner Rutherford, Commissioner Salter, city manager, and myself to participate in that event on behalf of the city of Shawnee.
Yes, sir. I didn't want to have to repeat that.
Really? Yeah. All righty. We have motion and a second. We will call the question. And motion passes 7-0. Now we get 27. I've tried that 3 times. Consider bids, a HOOEC metal roof restoration and insulation removal and spray foam replacement project, Heart of Oklahoma Exposition Center, project number C-21-03D, and it's the open. Ma'am?
The guy that had comments about the length of the
Ready?
He wants to get him back for us. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I know.
Better than I thought it would be. This one's actually not bad. That's at 250. You just been to the typically do.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. In front of you, we will, oh gosh, sorry, I'm a little short. In front of you, we have the first project. It's project C-21-03D. It's the metal roof restoration and insulation removal and spray foam replacement project for the Heart of Oklahoma Exposition Center. This is a project that we desperately need to complete. If you've been in there, you can see the holes in the roof. It's not a good thing. We have one bid on this project from Draper Construction. They have broken down the price for the 2 separate projects. The first one is for the metal restoration on the roof. It is $496,862.07. The next is for the foam and the coatings, and that's $782,000. Or sorry, $782,208.56.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What building or buildings is this for?
This encompasses all of the barns, all of the outside buildings, and the shops,
Okay, so it covers all of them except
except for the conference center.
Okay.
And the conference center is our newest building. Also, it does not cover the grandstand, but we haven't had any issues at those buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, do you have a suspected reason that we only received one bid?
We did place calls to places. I did have someone call me today, and he said that he just got really busy last week. So,
Really?
How many Did you have 3 plan holders, if I remember right, or
I had 2.
only 2?
Well, that was for the fence. For the roof, I only had 1. Only 1 submitted. This one, I did speak with him on the phone, and he said that there were specific licenses in the state of Oklahoma. I need to do some more research on the project. The recommendation on behalf of us, and I represent you all.
Right.
So my recommendation would be to defer to a later meeting so we can do some more research on the project personally.
Move to defer.
I'll say.
Okay, we have motion to defer and a second to, guessing, future meeting.
That's what, yes.
Yes.
And is that
Yes. Future meeting.
before discussion is
no.
appropriate now, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's a motion, so there needs to be a second before we have further discussion.
Well, we had a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, my
Mark.
apologies.
Yeah.
If it's appropriate, I believe one of the bidding company, perhaps representatives, is here. If we'd like to hear from him just about the project, or is that appropriate, Mr.
Any
City Manager?
issues with that?
Mr. Attorney?
Come on up.
He stayed with us all night, he might as well get to say
Really?
something.
Mayor and Commissioners, my name's Trace Bailey,
Uh-huh.
and I'm the owner of Draper Construction. It's a very unique project. The timelines that were put on it are very fast. In the construction industries right now, commercial roofing supplies are short to come. Most companies don't have access to 5 acres of roofing material before the end of the year.
Right.
We do. So that's probably answers a little bit of the limited amount. The construction license, I included my license in the packet. I also included certifications. We're the only SPFA PCP certified applicator in the entire state of Oklahoma. And so we have to have over 1 million square feet under roof and do a lot of training to get that. And so it is a very specialty kind of bid process. And we included a lot of that information in there. But if y'all have questions, I'd be happy to try and answer anything you might have.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have to defer this
Absolutely.
anyway for staff examination
Right.
of the bids. So we're going to accomplish it anyway.
Right.
But I underscore what Mr. Draper says.
Yeah.
We knew this was coming, and we knew that this would be a challenge, even receiving bids.
Yep, absolutely.
To clarify the amounts, that is basically 2 different ways that you could do it. So you wouldn't add the 2 together.
No, we understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem at all, but thank you for that clarification.
If I could
Yes,
ask,
sir.
what's the amount of money that the bond issue that we passed earmarked for the Expo Center? How much?
Sales tax.
The sales tax.
Currently, I can identify about $1.2 million.
Right.
Okay, I was thinking it was more than that, but that's what.
Well, that if you took the historical precedents that we've been assigned as guidance, as the amount that would be devoted to the Expo Center. There are other funds, and you have some ability to draw those funds from elsewhere, in addition to making an early withdrawal from future savings, if you will. And we'll give you a better option for it. That's a great question, and we'll give you some better answers when we bring the bid validication discussion back to you.
Right.
Give them better answers. Thank you.
I do have one question. If you are pushing it out, I didn't find out about it till Thursday, and I went to work on it on Friday, and our bonding company from Dallas could not get our bond here by tonight.
Right.
So I included a cashier's check. It's about $50,000 to cover the highest amount that would be. Are you going to hold the cashier's check till what's your timeline do you think you'll have that you're setting on that? Does that make sense?
Seth, come here and address that for you. I think I know, but I want to hear it from you. So he's offered a cashier's check. We do not have to hold that cashier's check while we validate the bid itself, correct?
No, I believe not. We would only need a valid bond or cashier's check at the time of award.
So you would have the time to bring your bonding capacity.
We need like 4 or 5 days, and so once there's a notice to award and we sign a contract.
You
we've got
clearly
time.
don't know how fast things move.
So presumably, at the earliest, it would be at the next meeting.
Right.
So it would be at least, what, 2 weeks?
October 4th is our intent. So you'd have that opportunity.
Okay.
And let me say for the record that I appreciate your aggressiveness on this bid.
This is something we specialize in. I did a project that was 33 acres, and we did it in a 12-week time frame back in 1999. So it's kind of a niche, unique, it's not the same.
I was very pleased to see your bid.
Thank you. Well, if I can help you or answer questions along the way, my cards are all in there, and if you have everything you need.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Katie, your recommendation was to defer to a future meeting.
Yes.
I think we've got a motion and a second to do that very thing. So I think we're all on the same page then. So, okay, so we have a motion and a second. We will, make sure I haven't missed anything. Nope, I think I got it. So we will vote on that then. We will call that question. And that passes 7-0. Thank you very much. 28, acknowledge monthly sales tax and budget reports.
Mr. Mayor, B.
Oh, B, okay.
I have
I
another
thought we were
project.
doing both of them.
I'm not quite done.
Okay, so item B then.
All right.
Now you're up on that.
Yeah, our next
Thank
project, it's project number C-21-03, D1. It's the fence removal and replacement project at the Heart of Oklahoma Exposition Center. We did receive one bid for this from RJ Fence in Wellston, Oklahoma. This was for $266,032.50. This actually comes in very much below budget. So I can defer to Jacob if you all would like to know what the budgeted line item was for that.
And clearly, Commissioner and Mayor, we have to go through the same bid validation process.
Right, absolutely.
But this is a very attractive bid. It gives us a lot of, the item that gives me the most satisfaction on this bid is A, the price, and B, that it gives us the first indication the public will see a very visible investment in the Expo Center.
Absolutely. It'd be hard to miss that, won't it?
So we anticipate.
We do have a representative
Okay, so he's
as
here.
well out here.
Would you guys like to ask him any questions, or?
I can't get
What's that?
my article to open up so I can look at the specs and the guide. I don't know what's going on with it.
One thing I might add is the bid didn't make any of the bid pages, the notice of bidders, like I square foot or Dodge or any of those, which is where we get ours from I square foot. And a lot of these go, they'll end up on those pages, but this didn't end up, so I didn't know about it until we got a call last week, I guess from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've physically notified people. We posted it in the newspaper and then we actually ended up calling people.
So Jacob, this was quite a bit under budget then, okay. It's always good to hear. Any other questions other than what your iPad is doing? So your recommendation is going to be to defer.
Yes, I would recommend.
Right, to examine the bids,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay.
I'll make the motion we defer.
So we have a motion to defer item 27B and a second. All right, now we will vote on 27B, so let's call that question. And that passes 7-0. Okay. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Now we go to 28, and Jacob, you are up, sir. Bring us some good news.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Sales tax came in well, again. This month's sales tax increased by 9% approximately from this month and the prior year. And year-to-date sales tax has increased by approximately 3.8% from year-to-date sales tax in the prior year. From our projections, we had an increase by approximately 16%. So we projected rather low for this year,
Right.
so it's coming in very well.
So 16% over projection.
Yes.
Okay.
Year-to-date.
Right.
As far as expenses go, our largest fund, the general fund, is within budget.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions.
All righty. What questions do we have for Jacob while we got him? Anybody got any questions? Or we want to cut him loose?
Don't question good news.
I know. I'll tell you what, good news, you just let it let go, don't you? You just got to you got to promise to do it again next month.
Yeah.
All righty, thank you, sir. 29, administrative report. So we have, 45th Street and grant updates. So Seth is up first, 45th Street.
Okay, so I will try to be brief. I had mentioned previously that we were entering into we had received our engineering report, hydraulic report, and traffic report that we had previously contracted with CEC about. So I'm just here tonight to give you a little bit of an update and let you know what might be coming over the next month. So basically what we're going to do is our consultant has prepared a video basically presenting the information that I'm going to present to you guys tonight.
Okay.
Over the next month and a half, you will see that on our website, our social media, etc. And what that's doing is encouraging the citizens who would like to provide feedback to email the email address there that you see. So it's 45th Street at shawneeok.org.
Okay.
So sit through the presentation, look and see basically what we're saying we need to do, and then provide feedback on issues that you see or would like to see differently, etc. Or if you like it, you can tell us that too. So basically, the project as a whole, as you know, spans from Leo Street to Bryan Street. Project highlights the reason why we're doing the project. We're looking to improve the aging infrastructure, increase the traffic capacity, make the corridor as a whole more pedestrian and cyclist friendly, and allow them to operate more safely, especially with the school going in there on 45th Street. We want to improve drainage and provide for future development along the 45th Street corridor. So looking at the phasing, we told you all along that the project was likely to be phased just given the budgetary restraints that we were going to have. So the report outlines the suggested phasing. So phase 1 would be from Leo Street to east of Kickapoo Street, about halfway between Kickapoo and Union. So that line outlined there in red would be the spot. There's a natural break in development and driveways there that would allow us to transition from the proposed section back down to the existing 2-lane section without really hampering any kind of traffic there. So phase 2 then of course would be the remainder of that area. So it would go from there to Bryan Street at a future date.
Okay.
So looking at phase 1 and looking into the traffic study that they did, this essentially describes the traffic condition as we have it currently. So if you want it in layman's terms, it breaks it into level of services that we have at the intersection of Kickapoo West, so phase 1, and green being good, yellow being at design capacity, orange being completely maxed out, borderline failure, red being bad, right? So existing conditions that we have for east and westbound Kickapoo east and westbound 45th at Kickapoo, we're operating either at design capacity or a little bit over for the existing traffic. So looking at the future traffic conditions on the existing network. So if we project the school traffic forward, what happens at that intersection? So what happens is essentially every leg of the intersection goes into complete capacity, the section to the east actually goes into failure. So it would be very busy at non-busy times, essentially. So looking at the proposed traffic conditions, so what we're saying we're going to do in phase 1 is we're going to add, we're going to re-time the light at Kickapoo. So we would get into the timing of it and optimize it, giving our new configuration of the lanes along the 45th Street corridor, along with retiming them with the existing signals up the Kickapoo Street. We would also add a signal at Hardesty Drive. So those of you who are familiar, Hardesty Drive is the drive that will be extended as part of the school project.
Right.
So that it provides them an opportunity to get in and out of there safely with bus traffic or parent pickup. And then for the remainder, it would essentially operate as is from a traffic stop sign scenario. So looking at the roadway improvements, what we're recommending is essentially a 4-lane section with a 10-foot trail on one side of the street, a 6-foot sidewalk on the opposite side. So that trail will actually be on the north side for the section west of Kickapoo Street, but then would transition to the south side east of Kickapoo. So in the school area, it would be on the north side for the school's usage, and then when you get east of Kickapoo, it would transition to the south side. And that transition is largely because of elevation differences and what we would have to do with retaining walls.
Okay.
So looking at it, we have just a rendering of what that intersection would look like, and I'll go ahead and skip to the next one because this kind of gives you a better view. That's a 3D rendering of what the Kickapoo 45th Street intersection would look like with a 4-lane entrance and exit from 45th Street and Kickapoo.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where the 10-foot trail, I know it's hard to see here tonight, but if you were to look, the 10-foot trail on the left side or west side of Kickapoo is on the north side. On the east side, it transitions to the south side.
Okay.
So looking at drainage improvements, there's 2 major drainage crossings in the phase 1. Both of them will have to be removed and replaced. Both of them are hydraulically deficient, so they're not able of carrying the amount of water they need to carry. And one of them is actually borderline structurally. They both need to be removed and replaced, so they will be. So looking at the drainage improvements overall, we're going from a non-curb section to a curb section. So we'll be adding enclosed storm sewer. So instead of the open ditch section that we have currently, it will be moving to a more conventional curbed and storm sewer system.
Mm-hmm.
Timeline. So a little bit of this timeline is how we got here tonight. So we entered a contract with CEC in March. They did a conceptual study submittal in June. I previously mentioned that to you guys, and then we are in the public meeting phase right now. So essentially tonight we are opening that month window of public meeting. It'll be essentially a virtual public meeting for them to provide comments to us through email, as I stated earlier. And then after public meeting, we'll be going into design plans. Hopefully, I'll have another contract back before you before the end of the year with the consultant to get us from where we are currently to final construction. So bid documents, and then final plan submittal hopeful for late 21, construction in 23. So with that, I would just say if you guys or any of the citizens watching would have comments for us, you can submit them through email or to me directly, and we'll make sure we get them categorized and compiled. So with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer, but if not, it was really just an update.
I've got a question. You've said construction 2023. Have you gotten any indication from the school system when they're going to begin construction on their school?
Sooner.
Sooner than that.
But have you gotten, do we have something more specific than that, than sooner?
They haven't, although they haven't submitted yet, I believe their intent is in the next calendar year, so it'd be calendar year 22.
They'll lead us by at least 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have the ability to flex to that requirement if the council so determines and funds it.
Okay. I just hadn't heard a public announcement on the school, so I was curious.
We're in discussion with the school leadership, and we're committed to satisfying the agreements that were made well before my time.
Good. Thank you.
And
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just I'm sure that you're working very intentionally with them to make sure that whatever entrances next from the school and different things do not have to be something that they will have to be redone based on the future road plans.
The plan right now is that the school's access would be off of Hardesty Drive, so it will not be off of 45th Street.
Okay.
So there will be no redesign or reconstruction of 45th Street. The improvements for the school would be at Hardesty Drive, which Hardesty Drive currently extends south into, I believe, Smoking Oaks. It would be the extension of Hardesty Drive north.
Okay.
From that connection point.
Okay, I got you.
Currently doesn't exist at all.
We currently, yeah.
Okay, I was like there. There's not.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic, very good.
On this question, you just have to pardon my ignorance, but when you showed the study, the part that's gonna be phase 1 is currently green and phase 2 is like already overmaxed. What's our thinking, just to help me understand why we're doing the part that's currently green as phase 1 and the part that's already passed?
No, I think we may have had a misunderstanding or a representation.
We probably
error.
didn't, I probably did.
Okay. So the phase diagram, there was red that showed phase 1. That was simply showing you phase 1. Yellow was the remainder of the
Right, yeah,
project.
no, but then when you showed the traffic pattern.
The traffic patterns was only phase 1.
Okay,
So that was
gotcha.
only the phase 1 corridor.
Okay.
So it didn't even show phase 2.
Okay. Like I said, you'll have to pardon my ignorance on understanding the map.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Any other questions? That's good information. I know people ask all the time about that, so that's very, very helpful, and I'm guessing that link is going to be available.
Right, yeah,
on
it'll
the
be,
website.
basically
Someone
what'll
can share
happen
it
is
with
you'll
you.
see a video. The video is about
Mhm.
8 minutes long. The video
Okay.
is prepared by our consultant.
Right.
So you'll see their presentation of essentially the same information that I
Right.
maybe more eloquently put, but essentially the same information. And then the email address will be in that
Okay.
same,
And
on the website and in the
The
social
link to
media.
the presentation and the email address will go live.
I'm hopeful
first of the
this
month.
week. It would be
Okay,
this
very
week.
good.
It would go live, and we would accept comments. Thank you for bringing that up. We would accept comments through the end of October. So
Okay.
October 31st being the cutoff date. So it'd give you
Okay.
a little bit over a month to review the information and provide comment.
Okay, very good. That's very helpful. Gentlemen, any other questions? All righty, appreciate your update. Lauren, Craig, you are up next with the grant updates. I heard you had good news for us.
Yeah, let's end the night with some fun. I want to say thank you guys for being here and allowing me to speak and give some good news for wrapping the evening. I'm going to bounce really quickly through this because this is just a refresher on things that we've already covered. You guys have already voted. There's no action needed here. It's just good news. So we did, in fact, get the Love Your Block grant. That is the John Hopkins Cities of Service. It was a highly competitive grant that is, in fact, already in the works. For that grant, we will be hiring a fellow, and then Cities of Service will be providing us a VISTA to work on that program. And so we should have all of the press and stuff headed to Jeremy Davidson's way, so we'll be posting that on social media very quickly. So again, that we think for this fiscal year will be about $55,000. Not that much, but still exciting things for our community. The second one is the one that we voted on way, way long ago, and that was the Community Development Block Grant. That's the CB2 funds. That was through the Oklahoma State Department of Commerce, through the federal relief package. That, of course, had the mortgage, rental, and utility assistance. This is for persons who were impacted by the COVID, and they must be in past due or in arrears as far as those are concerned. And then we also had the mental health and nutrition assistance packages, which you guys remember. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those before we move on to our newest one. So the CDBG CB2 funds, we estimate anywhere from $750,000 plus. So we want to spend the great majority of, we have 2 years to spend the entirety of this grant. We want to try and get most of it out and out of the way this fiscal year, as the impacts of COVID are happening now. Most people who are in past due won't be able to wait until next year to get assistance, to get caught up,
So we want to avoid evictions and avoid foreclosures wherever we can in our community.
Right.
So is there any questions for CB funds?
How would an individual currently seek out assistance through this?
That is a great question. So we are in the works with Mr. Benson to reopen our CDBG office. We have, and Mr. Benson can explain more into this, but we will have a CDBG administrator. That's not me, thankfully. And then I'm currently working with the Department of Commerce right now on all the forms that we have to have in place this week to be able to kick it off. So we would be able to accept applications online and in person. We want to work directly with our lovely utility department here to make sure that people are aware of it. We've discussed in passing doing some social media content, utilizing some social media avenues that we already have, such as the Shawnee Outlook. It might also be in our benefit to do something with the utility bills that every customer receives, just as a broad source of information.
And the amount again, just so people hear it one more time.
Well, the total amount for that grant was it was a little over $1 million.
Right.
We want to spend about 3/4 of that this year. So
that'll be very helpful.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Commissioner, as you know, our CDBG staff is decimated.
Yes, sir.
We've rehired one of my favorites in that community, and we've also hired from within for an assistant. So we'll have 2 dedicated CDBG employees.
Fantastic.
Yep. That's big time, I think. Big time. Thank you for that.
All right, and the last one is just ESG. That's our Emergency Solutions Grant. That is geared 100% to homelessness. We have some great things happening with that package. We just got the notification of the award letter that's pending to be signed. There's some additional documentation that I think that we're going to send their way, but it is all good to go, crystal clear. So we're hoping to get the major expenses. So we have until September of next year. So since the majority of that is happening within this fiscal year, we foresee spending almost all of it, other than some last minute expenses as far as administration costs. So this would allow us some money to hire staff that would assist my program as far as street outreach is concerned. It also pads our budget as far as my salary is concerned. That way we're alleviating some of the burden of this initiative off of our city budget. And then it increases our outreach capacity with some things like the homeless management information system licenses. We're providing Salvation Army with a license, so that way they can help me with the burden of inputting all the many, many forms of data that requires. That also allows for us to have some emergency social renovation funds and some landlord incentives, so that way we can hope to rapid rehouse as many persons as possible.
Right. And that HMIS system is so important, because if you don't have the data, then you don't get the money. So
Right. And
very,
this,
very important.
if we ever hope to have another round, this is regular fund. This is CV funds, but every year they do rounds of ESG, sometimes upwards of 3 rounds. So imagine that much money into our community. So yes, if we can maintain HMIS, we can maintain a steady flow of money specific to homelessness for our community.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Any
good.
questions?
She does great work, doesn't she?
I'm going to tell you, she's a go-getter, that's for sure. And I really appreciate all your hard work, and Sarah Dame, who's helped you out. Mr. Benson, I appreciate your recognition of how valuable these efforts are, and getting that office filled with staff. And anyway, I'm all for getting all the money we can to spend here in Shawnee. So we've left a lot of money on the table in the past, I think. So I think we're headed the right direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commission.
All righty. It is good to get good news, that's for sure. Item 30 is consideration of the following budget amendments for fiscal year 2021-2022. So you are back.
This is to appropriate funds for all the grants that were just mentioned.
Right.
The 2 from ODOC, CDBG and ESG, and then the Love Your Block grant.
Yep.
Any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
So basically, we're just plugging that money into the budget now.
Right.
There
To
you
get
go.
us able to expend it.
That's good. I hope we do this a lot. Thank you, sir.
One motion, so would one motion be sufficient on item 30?
That's great.
Move
We
to-
have a motion.
Move to approve item 30.
And I'll second.
Aaron and Travis. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item 30. We'll call the question. And motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 31, new business.
Thank you for indulging me, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'll be as brief as possible. I wanted to update you that the state law now allows us to up our bidding process from $50,000 to $100,000 without the requirement to competitively bid it. I offer you that because I appreciate your indulgence in the many months that you've spent here with this less than satisfactory audiovisual capability. And even more so, come and sit in these ungodly, uncomfortable pews. We're going to bring you within, and I hope before I leave, an opportunity to upgrade the capability here. And I offer that because with the bidding notification, because it will exceed my spending authority. But Ryan is pursuing an opportunity that will make your life a whole lot easier and enable the folks to actually hear what you say and see what's up here. The pictures that you see thus far, that's the best of our ability because of the outdated equipment that we have. So I'm really excited. We're going to bring modernity, and that's a word, to Shawnee.
Well, I'll tell you what, personally, I'm very excited about that. I think that's going to be good for everybody, and wish we'd have done it years ago. So thank you so much. All righty, commissioners' comments. Want to start down there?
Sure. Finally made it to the end. Appreciate those of you that have stayed with us and those that were here earlier for important things we talked about. Obviously, I think the big thing on the agenda tonight is our agreement with Citizen Pottawattamie Nation. Just want to express that I wholeheartedly support the agreement. I believe it symbolizes a new chapter for the city and the tribe working alongside one another for the betterment of our community. We've gone through years of conflict that has held us back from growth, and this agreement represents a renewed commitment to cooperation that will allow Shawnee to fulfill its economic potential. I believe this helps existing businesses and will lead to a brighter future for us and our kids. I really believe, the saying, rising tides lift all ships. CPN is a valued community partner in his role as the largest employer and charitable partner to Shawnee. Collaboration between the city and the tribe will be a true win-win for our community. And so was just honored, along with my colleagues, to welcome their officials into our chamber again, and look forward to a great future and partnership with them going forward. Want to wish all the best to Commissioner Weaver. It's been an honor to sit next to you and help you with your iPad.
You haven't done a very good job. I still didn't get it.
But I appreciate all that you've helped me learn as I navigate being a commissioner, and your long service to our community and constituents, and appreciate your friendship, and we'll miss it next to you. And then finally, Lauren, you're welcome to bring $1 million grant every meeting. You've set a new expectation, but I appreciate all that you're doing on that program. And as we've talked about, it is complicated navigating the needs of citizens, but also the needs of those citizens, and we'll continue to try to do that as best we can. But your work on the projects you've been working on have been very fruitful, and will set us up to be able to hopefully address root causes and not just symptoms. And I appreciate all your work on that, my friend.
Daniel, thanks for the kind words. I'm not going away, just not going to be up here. So I've been involved in this community and love it, and will continue to love it and try to do what I can. But I looking forward to the challenges that I have to overcome, and look forward to watching you guys and seeing the many things that you have to accomplish. We've got a lot of things ahead of us. I'm excited to have a new city manager in place, and that's going to be a new move forward. And just appreciate all of you. Appreciate the public. Appreciate the fellow commissioners, the staff, everybody that I've worked with has just been great. And couldn't be happier with saying I served the city of Shawnee, and I just regret that my time is cut short. Thank you.
Sir.
I would just like to acknowledge the comments first from our citizens. Just that it was, again, it was amazing to see the individuals that come out and support, but then also the gentlemen from our local banks that got together and spoke as one voice, who are often our fierce competitors in our city, and being able to put aside their differences for a few minutes to come together and support something as monumental as this event was. And thank you, Joe, for the amazing hard work, and also would be remiss to not thank Chance, who is no longer with us, and the just unbelievable work that he put in for many months to help make this happen. When we look back at things that define individual's legacy, I think this might be something that would be a pretty significant one on your life achievements, and I think you should be proud of the hard work that you've put into this, and thank you for doing it.
Here, here.
Yes. We've got an unbelievable, amazing city, and all the things that are going on from Seth bringing us, one step closer to the roads, major road projects being finished, to Brad talking about having 2 paver machines, and for somebody who's hates replacing tires on his wife's car. Not that I don't like going and seeing the folks at Fred's, but it's not my favorite thing in the world to do. I'm excited about the fact that we're going to very soon have 2 machines working on fixing those roads and making it better for our citizens. Also, that we've got bids out on, soon to be, hopefully, awarded to 2 major projects at the expo. That's, goodness, if you've been out there, there's so many things that you can overlook and put lipstick on a pig, but that roof is bad. Some of those fences are really, really bad, and that's gonna be huge for individuals to see that and know that we continue to care, and something that we want to make happen, and for all the young people that go out there and use those sale barns and individuals. I think that's one more way of saying that we care about you, and we want you to have an enjoyable experience while you're here in Shawnee. Also, I had the privilege of reading the proclamation at Gateway to Recovery and Prevention's Walk for Recovery. To see a group of individuals who often feel as outcasts or less than because of some of the struggles that they've had with addiction and mental health, to see them be recognized not only by our city but by their mayor, and to have conversations with them afterward, it made me, that's one of the proudest moments that I've had as being a commissioner, is being able to be part of that. So thank you to you for helping that, and to the individuals that helped write that proclamation. Thank you for that, because I truly wish you could have seen the smiles and the attitudes on people's, not only their faces but their whole body, whenever they truly believed that their city was behind them and helping them to live their best lives. And that's something that we should all be proud of being in a city that not only helps those that are doing well, but also actively seeks to help others who need extra assistance and care to live their best lives. And that's something that we should be proud of. Lauren, again, thank you for being a rock star. This is just, you can't say enough how much your hard work is evident, and Mr. Manager, thank you again for your hard work and all the things that you do. And it's amazing how much we've been able to move forward in a very short period of time, and looking forward to all the great things that have been put into motion, and know that we're heading in a very, very good place, and thank you for helping us get there.
You're up, sir.
It's difficult following three very eloquent speakers and thinkers, so, Bob, thank you for serving. I wish you the best in your future endeavors, and hopefully you get to kick back a little bit and enjoy. Our agreement with CPN is such a long-coming, fantastic thing. I think that's one of the most important things that I've been involved in since we've been here. So that's just really good. Looking forward to tomorrow. And I've spoken enough for this meeting. 16% over projected year to date.
Yeah,
That's good news. Keep that up. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Hard to follow all these guys up, isn't it? The CPN deal is detrimental. I mean, we've been battling them for the last 15 years and should have been working hand in hand with them. So I think, Joe, you and Chance kind of put this deal together, and you ought to be commended for it. Seth, the 45th project presentation, that's a really neat deal for the community to see, and I think they'll be excited about it. Eric, we couldn't have done a lot of this without you. You kind of got us in a good place, good people in place. We really appreciate what you did for the city. And that's about all I got. Benny?
I would like to say that, and may I call you Andrea, welcome Andrea as the city manager and team leader for Shawnee, and all the way from Walla Walla, Washington, if you're not aware of that. And Bob, good luck to you. We'll miss you. And all of the department heads, all of the reports were just unbelievable tonight. And very thorough and everything, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir. Lots and lots of good news tonight. The CPN thing is just big time. I've had people reach out to me and say it's the best news they've heard in 20 years. So, I'll be honored to, go to that meeting tomorrow, and it was great having them come visit us tonight. Joe, appreciate all your hard work on that. I know this didn't happen overnight. Our staff and their staff have worked together for a while, and that's, the results are phenomenal. Bob, I want to thank you for serving. We are going to miss you. I understand you're moving into Daniel's ward, and I know you've got his cell phone number. My understanding is he prefers calls after midnight. So,
I don't think I can handle after midnight.
There you go.
If he calls, I'll be right over.
There you go. Lauren, again, thank you for your efforts to bring money our direction. We'll take every dime we can get. We'll take all the money entitled to us and everybody else's too. So keep working on that. We really appreciate it. Seth, I really appreciate the update on 45th Street. People are always asking about that. That is such a busy place and, growing part of town, and everybody's always asking, kind of how that is. So I'm so glad that we're going to have something folks can access and give some input on, and I think that's real exciting, and that's a good thing for our community as it grows. Eric, thank you for all your hard work.
Pleasure.
Enjoyed working with you, and I know you're not gone yet, but you've been here. This is your second tour of duty with us, and we've enjoyed having you here and appreciate all you do. So
it's a pleasure,
I want you
Mr.
to
Mayor.
know that. All righty. Believe it or not, we are adjourned. You know, I told someone the other day, I bet we get through all this before 9:15, which is what we were last meeting. Someone should take me up on that bet because we didn't make it. So apologize we kept you here late, but I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. So we move on to the Shawnee Airport Authority. So item 1 is consider approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All righty, that was fast until you guys are ready to go home. All righty, we have a motion and a second. Let's call the question. And that passes 6 aye, 1 abstention. Any new business?
None.
Thank you, sir. We are adjourned and move on to the Municipal Authority. So item 1 is consider approval of consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Daniel and Mark. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll call the question. There we go. Let's see, Benny and Bob's didn't go.
Sorry.
That's okay. All righty, 6 aye, 1 abstention, and that passes. Item 2, discussion and consideration lease various equipment to maintain city infrastructure from C&H Industries Capital America LLC and total annual cost of $210,672.32. And Brad, you're up, sir.
Yes, sir. So this is a lease option to replace up to 13 and possibly even 15 pieces of extremely outdated and in some cases inoperable equipment that we use throughout public works. Like I said, we have multiple pieces that are either nearing or have reached the end of their useful life. If we purchased all this equipment that we are desperately needing for public works, it'd be over $1 million, almost $1.1 million. That's due to a lack of any sort of asset replacement, fleet replacement program in the past. By leasing this, it would be an annual payment of $210,672. This is also a state bid, lease option through state bidding process with the same end of lease options that we have on the patch truck and a couple other pieces that we have leased recently. It'll all be under warranty, similar to the other lease items that we've had. These pieces of equipment range from 1984 to 2014, which was the last time we purchased any significant large piece of equipment that we use: trackhoes, backhoes, loaders. These models range from the ones I could obtain hours from, 5,000 to 11,000 hours on average with the equipment. We would reduce our current inventory to 11 from that 13 to 15. These are some of the skid steers. That's a 2000. Our newest one there in the middle is a 03 model from the military surplus program, and then our actual newest one is that 2010 Bobcat. So that would replace those with this model. And then we have backhoes, and that's where we'll be able to reduce our inventory. The one on the right was literally abandoned in our yard several years ago by a contractor who had no further use of it. So we were able to repurpose that for our guys in our parks department. But the old method is you would have a jackhammer attachment that would hook up to a piece to a backhoe similar to this, that would break your concrete or asphalt, and then you would bring another piece in, another backhoe in, and excavate. With the track hoe or excavator option, these are some of the current ones that we have, but with that option, that the breaker, your jackhammer assembly, comes with that, so you're using one piece of equipment with two attachments. The one that was on the left earlier is a smaller one. We will be keeping it. We're going to, there on the trailer, we're actually going to repurpose that to our cemetery to allow for easier excavation there and less disruption of the grounds. And then we have, so those will be replaced. That's a small and a mid-size, and those will be replaced with the, these here, small and mid-sized as well. And then we also have, I believe on the next slide, loaders. Yes, there's some of our loaders. So that's an 84 case we got through the military surplus program, and then a 1992 John Deere. And that has a little over 11,000 miles on it. And that'll be replaced with the newer, more updated version. I believe that is it.
All righty.
We're
Thank you, sir.
requesting.
Questions?
If you get a chance, Mr. Mayor, to drive by Wygant Park and look at the progress that's accomplished by Brad's crew in the last 10 days and the replacement of drainage channels from the expo. They did all that with the bad equipment. Just imagine what they can do when you approve this.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll have to go do that.
So
All right.
are we leasing with the option to purchase it, just like the?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's the same option that we have on the other pieces. We can purchase at the end, or we can.
Sure, they have quite a bit of residual value. How many hours a year do you put on?
It varies. This last year was obviously quite higher.
The skid steer, you can log 3,000 hours easily in a year, and twice that in a bad year. And it saw a 04 that had 11,000 hours on it. This lease option gives us an opportunity to embrace a fleet of new equipment rather than purchasing one item or two items and still limping along with our Army surplus items.
I mean, I agree. Good equipment's a huge plus.
Yeah. Yeah, we're to the point now we're almost ineffective. Our equipment spends more time in being worked on than it does in the field making progress, making repairs.
Having the small excavator at the cemetery should make a big difference out there.
Yes, sir. Current is an 09 John Deere large backhoe. It's not, they can't maneuver in the space that they have. That's this smaller track hoe that we currently have in stock or on hand. That'll definitely make it easier.
So long-term, are we looking at, I mean, wearing the stuff out, or are we gonna keep
refreshing?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the.
You raised a great question, Commissioner. Our historical habit has been to ride it till it dies and then try to revive it. This gives us the opportunity at set times to renew those leases with new equipment. Now, yes, that comes at an expense. But our historical habit has shown that we wear out, become ineffective, and then we come to you for a giant price tag that you can't swallow. This leasing will allow us to give you the flexibility to renew the fleet instead of buy one piece of equipment.
And we can pick and choose if we wanted to purchase a piece of equipment we don't have much time on.
Yes.
So we can individually.
It is individual. Yes, sir.
I mean, I think it's
It
great.
just-
Efficiency will be so much better.
Yeah, one repair we had this year was over $30,000. That's and that's becoming more and more common.
Yeah.
And I know you're thinking, well, what about all the stuff you break? Yeah, but if it's new equipment, it's far more reliable and our crews take better care of it.
Right.
And we proud of what they're using.
Yep.
Nope,
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yep. Any more questions? Want to have a motion?
Make a motion that we do the lease bid.
Second.
Thank you, sir. All righty, we have a motion and a second. We'll call the question. And that passes 7-0. All righty. Item 3, any new business?
None.
Thank you, sir. Time to go home. We are adjourned.